races remain in the HTL Cup Series, and only 6 drivers are locked in for the playoffs. Tonight's race could make or break those dreams for a handful of other drivers who want to see themselves in the postseason. Who's going to take it away? And will the favorites and ringers out here make their names known at the big oval at the World Center of Speed? You're watching ABN's live coverage of HTL Cup Series at Daytona International Speedway, but not the oval. We're going road course racing tonight in the big giant road course inside Daytona International Speedway. Joe Cortez, Kevin Young, going all the action for you. Chrissy Ryan pressing the buttons behind the scenes. And Kevin, this is a treat we don't normally get anymore. NASCAR or Cup cars at Daytona in the road course. It always makes for a good time.
It does. Obviously, this track's obviously best known in this layout for the sports cars that go around here every January. Had the pleasure to go in that race at least twice. But the Cup cars on that point also provide some good racing, and it'll be interesting to see how these next-gen machineries, like in real life, hang around this circuit. And if it will play into some of the strengths of some of the drivers that love the road courses, and maybe we'll catch a few drivers out, and could easily be a good roll of the dice with 2 rounds to go for the playoffs. Some drivers tonight going to use this as their chance to maybe make a last stand for the playoffs. Other drivers going to use next week. But regardless, Daytona holds the keys in the hands for the 16 drivers that will make it in 2 weeks' time.
Group qualifying going on right now. Over 16 minutes left to get your qualifying time in and try to get up front for this race. When we go, green flag racing, 44 laps around this 19-turn road course at Daytona International Speedway. The favorite, of course, Bianca Constantino, has not turned in a time yet, but we're also seeing quite a few fillers in the field as well. We've got Robert Crivelli in there. We've got, I believe, Ruby Nakamura is in there somewhere as well. And I'm looking down the list. I don't see a whole lot of ringers, but those 2 are names you definitely want to watch.
And you should remember last time we were at a road course at Suzuka, the Suzuka East layout, even though that's kind of a road course in a bit of a speciality case, considering how short it is and how pretty much it's almost an oval in comparison with not many right turns. But to kind of go back to the point I was kind of saying, though, that race was not won by a ringer. That race was won by Caitlin Height, and she obviously is a full-time competitor here, and Josh Sosi ended up rounding the top 3 with, I believe, Josh Gaiman finishing second, or Lilacs here third, too. Regardless, it was a lot of drivers that were regulars here in the HTL Series. So unlike Sonoma, where the ringers kind of played the playground, Suzuki East was more of a situation where it was more the HTL homegrown defending the turf. Daytona could be the case, and with one more road course on the calendar, and that next one being in the chase, it's going to be a point where maybe if a ringer does good here, we got to look at maybe at Watkins Glen in a couple weeks for drive teams in the Ober standings, maybe saying, all right, we'll bring in a ringer to try to get a good run here. But right now, Nekomata, you were just talking about her, Joe. She has now jumped up to the top of the board and continue on that point. This is a must-win probably race for Constantino. Considering the fact right now how far back she is in the points, she needs to be in the top 30 to make her win count that she got at Charlotte, and she's going to have to make some big inroads both tonight and next week at Daytona.
After having an up and down season, Constantino desperately needs a win tonight in order to keep her playoff hopes alive. Let's go ahead and see where the playoffs stand right now, if we could. Chrissy, where she's working on it as we speak. We'll get there in just a moment. Josh, we'll take you through the wins as it stands right now. Josh Susi has 4 wins, Caitlin Height 2, Tommy Reynolds 2, Pacey Wygen, Hunter Peach, Josh Gaiman, all locked in with a win. And Lilac Zier, who has not won yet, is up 128 points, so she is all but locked in. As we look at the cutoff line, Alfred Denny, Austin Mongold, and Selena Thompson on the bubble. The first 3 looking out by Blowers, Lily Sharp, and Jeremy Brault. Lily Sharp has also been good on road courses. She excelled at Suzuka East, so could she be a threat to walk away with a win tonight?
He was that driver that was won stage 1, got that passing under the pace car pedally, and that took her out of contention, and she couldn't get her way back on to the lead lap. But if anyone could do it, I'll kind of say an air note. Last night, when the chips were on the table in the A² Cup Series at Bristol cutoff race, Sharp went out there and won. So she knows when the chips are down, she finds her form and steps up to that next gear. And I think she knows that this is her best chance to get herself the biggest cushion to go into Daytona next week on the high banks to try to make something happen. as long as you see on the left to right, speaking of playoffs, you can see our little fancy little coded color screen there and how it means for drivers in and out. So if they're yellow, they're locked in the playoffs. For instance, Pacey Wygant, Josh Gaiman, Josh Rossosi have all won this season. If they are in the blue, they are locked in, currently in the playoff hunt, either above the line or below the line, but not mathematically locked in. And the name is red, they are eliminated from the playoffs, whether being a part-time competitor, road course ringer, or just not made enough starts to try to be into the playoffs, or maybe not even have enough points to get in. So keep an eye on the left of your screen. It may not be as relevant tonight as it will be next week, but that is going to be the key to seeing what's going to happen over these few weeks here to see how it all plays out. But 13 minutes to go right now, still in qualifying. 7 minutes have elapsed. And Nekomata, Trout, Wygant, your top three. And Trout is one of those drivers we were talking about, currently 30 points back on the cut line. Another driver that, unless they can find victory lane, they're going to have to try to cut into that deficit to try to make a lunge and make it a manageable distance going into Daytona next week.
16 drivers have taken a time to qualifying time on this track so far. Ruby Nekomata at the top. Lily Peltier-Sharp jumps up with a qualifying time of 1:55. 1:64, officially taking out DJ Trout down to third. Joshua Gaiman and Pacey Wygant round out your top five. The last person to take time, Carmen Sienna, with a 2 minute, well, basically 2 minute flat around this track. Lots of the drivers starting to struggle right now along the track. I saw the 9 of Eli Sasek get a little sideways. Bianca Constantinos having electrical issues with that 57 machine. It looks like she's struggling a little bit out there, and a lot of other drivers really so far look a little unsure about managing this track. This could be a game changer for some drivers in the fact that they're not necessarily used to running a track where the speeds are so variable.
Yeah, it's odd because of such the high banks. Most road courses you'll go to are flat or banking those uphill or downhill, but you got to deal with at least turn 2, turn 3, and turn 4 of regular Daytona and hard into 1. So using that banking and those higher speeds you can get, obviously we ran the normal sports car variation, we'd be seeing drivers breaking out right out at the start-finish line to try to make the perfect line into turn 1. So this is a variable situation where it's something where it's a lot more of a lot of drivers have taken more laps, you could say, around Daytona than they have around Sonoma, Suzuki East, Watkins Glen, per se. But it's something that they'll have to get used to, and these high banks and these differing speeds can kind of warp the mind trying to hit corners, because not many road courses you'll see where you have to go from maybe 180, 190, and brake hard going into 1 to try to hit that apex on a sliding right-hand corner.
Not only that, but this is the 2020 NASCAR version of the road course, the version they had to improvise due to that interrupted season under that very fateful year. So not only is there one chicane they have to worry about along the backstretch, but there's a second one up near the start-finish line as well. So lots of different paces to work with, a lot of different left and right turns to mess with the car out here. Makes it a little topsy-turvy, and it really could affect these drivers and how they run tonight and how they manage this track for that matter. So far, 20 drivers have now taken a qualifying time on the field. Ruby Nekomata, Lily Peltier-Sharp, DJ Trout remain your top three. At the very bottom of the field remain Zachary Meredith, Richard Odie, and Carmen Sienna.
Yep. But, again, road courses can be a bit of a tricky beast. Some of those drivers definitely gearing it up, but for Meredith, I ought to see him in that double zero in situations because that's usually Wygant's number. But, in the point, though, it's just trying to gear up and getting a good run. Other drivers, knowing that the stage breaks, knowing how chaotic it can be, maybe it's a point where you just want to start further back and just avoid maybe lap 1 catastrophe if it does end up taking shape and form here. But obviously with 10 minutes to go in qualifying, laps being about a little over a minute and a half, there's still at least plenty of time to put down one clean lap if you need it, or for those drivers further back, they could easily improve and put down a better lap, maybe 4 or 5 more attempts to get that perfect run and try to take a chance and challenge Ruby Nekomata. One driver that has done that good run is Dustin Hall, now up to P2. Dustin Hall, another driver we're talking about right now, 15 points back of the cut line right now. That is Selena Thompson. And if he can obviously stay good in both stages, he could be a dark horse when the playoffs start if he can find his way into the top 16.
Pacey Wygant taking the reins of that 17 machine tonight. You're right. Normally, we see Wygant in the double zero, so a lot of drivers playing roulette tonight with their numbers.
We've seen that throughout the season, and for Bobby Blowers, for Byron Jones, for other drivers, this roulette of numbers has worked out a treat. Being that super sub, you would think that it can lead to a disadvantage, but it really does help. And sometimes say, hey, look, I may be a mercenary for hire that's going to get you a good result if you give me a decent shot and a good chance for an opportunity.
Well, this also looks like a team order as well, because the 17 and 00 literally just switched their cars. So Zachary Meredith will be in that already qualified 00, and Pacey Wygant is trying to look to get some points for that 17 machine. So this looks like they're in the running for the owners points tonight. So very interesting move. Very interesting to see how it's going to play out for Coast to Coast Racing.
Yeah, for reference, the opposite 00 getting that win at Fontana, locked that car in, and considering the 17 right now is 25 above the line, with some drivers in the 29, the 27, right there on the cut line for Valkyrie Motorsports, it could easily be a swing. So take your best chance, take your strongest driver and say, hey, look, it's like what happened in 2010 when Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson switched pit crews. It's kind of a reverse of that. We're like, look, we'll just switch seats here for this week. We're same team, same stuff, same everything. We're just going to switch the number and try to get you higher up in the owner standings. Is it a bit of a spoil sport move? You can argue that a little bit. But at the same point, when prizes and other things are on the line, you're going to do what you can do to get that value on it. So it's a risky move per se, because it could easily blow up in the face. If Wygant has trouble, Wygant DCs, whatever, it could make a hole hurt. But it's not a bad call. It's just knowing what you know and knowing that that 00 is Pacey Wygant is stronger at the road course than Zachary Meredith. But Zachary Meredith as well, being close to that line, he needs to make sure 45 above, but doesn't want to bleed points here tonight.
Martin Roberg taking the reins of the 97 machine from Bobby Blowers at Ascent Racing. Martin Roberg, last time we saw him, he was taking over the 27 machine at Valfreya Motorsports in the road course. So it'll be very interesting to see what Roberg does tonight and if he can help turn around Ascent Racing's luck this season. They've, again, another team who's had a up and down season, a season that they have just been challenged over and over again. And so hopefully Martin Roberg can do something to bring Ascent to the Ascent, if you will.
Yeah, trying to ascend that car to glory. Looking at some of the EOLs and pit starts we have coming down the pipeline now for race control. The 81, which is going to be a shock. Josh Sosa, even in the chat, said he's not even going to bother. He's going to elect to start from the pit lane here. Interesting call from a driver that finished strong at Suzuki East, but you don't hate it. He's obviously a defending champion. You know what he sees and knows there's a method to his madness. The other two cars are the 28 and the 3. They will both elect to start with an EOL, and the 94 machine will have a pit start as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on all that. So 3 EOOs and 1 pit start, but other than that, no drive-thrus, no other things to report here, which is probably, if you got a drive-thru here, wouldn't be detrimental. With being such a big track, you would just lose out on any juicy stage 1 points, but you could easily recover and get off strategy if that was the case. 5 minutes to go, a little over 5 minutes to go qualifying. It's Nekomata, Hall, Sharp, Trout, Wygant, your top 5. Not many major changes here for the most part in the top 5. Nekomata's time still holding. We'll have to see if anyone can make a better run at this Constantine, for instance, still having some electrical issues. We'll see if she can put down a good time. You got a few other drivers as well, a little bit further back, like Lilac Zier, Martin Roberg, Josh Gaiman, 16th, 10th, and 6th, respectively. So we'll have to see if any of those drivers can step up their game here and put down a banker lap to try to bump the 1 off the perch.
The 3 appears to be a driver penalty and not a team penalty. Kevin Gibney Jr. stepping in for the already qualified Caitlin Height in the number 3 machine. So I think either Caitlin just has the night off tonight, or Kevin Gibney wants to play the role of ringer for those two teams underneath the Gibney umbrella. Which either way, not a bad move. I don't hate that move, because why stress your driver out so early when she's already in, she's already qualified, and you don't have to worry about where that next race is coming from.
I can answer that question. Obviously, Joe, you were here last week when Kristina were, and Caitlin actually ended up finishing on the podium, and she told us that she is out this week. She is on vacation, so she's not here by choice per se. She's just vacation. So obviously if she was here, she'd probably be behind the wheel, but that's an opportunity for Gibney, who could use this as a good opportunity to try to make some, kind of use a team that's already found victory multiple times with Lady Liberty, maybe be like a sponge and absorb this up and try to do something. But after some of the incidents Gibney had last week, that's why he has his EOL for his implications.
In any event, it's going to be very interesting to see how all these drivers manage here at Daytona with time running out. 3 minutes left on the track. So if you want to get your qualifying time in, if you want to be able to try to get a qualifying time in, now is the time. Now, of course, if they get to the start-finish line before time runs out, they will be able to finish out their qualifying lap in group qualifying. But if they do not get there before time runs out, then they are out and they are stuck with the time they have. So far, nobody challenging Ruby Nakamata, 154.787 her time. Dustin Hall, the closest he's gotten, 155.019. So I think we can safely say Ruby Nakamata may have this pole.
It's interesting. So I'm looking at the stages here for, like, not stages, sectors, for some of the drivers comparing her. Like Jeremy Breault just ran a purple Sector 3, and I believe that is who we're currently following right now. Yes, we are, as he's working his way through the track here. So Breault, obviously a driver right now looking some good pace, obviously a few cars ahead. I think that is one of the Arrowhead racing machines of Carmen Sienna just up the road. So obviously giving a little help with a little extra toe here to try to lunge that car down the straight. And this is another factor that plays as well. Traffic. It can be your friend or it can hurt you depending on the situation it is in. So right now, obviously, Sienna giving a good toe to Breault, but right there, a little heavy brake there may have impeded Breault a little bit too much. That could hurt his run, but it's going to help him down the straight to get that extra lunge. Look at that. Sector 4 purple as well. So Sienna being a loyal team boss here, helping tow that 44 right now. This could be a blistering lap that could put Breault at least in the top 5, maybe higher, and it's knowing where your friends are. Sienna going to pull out of the way, allow him to brake comfortably here in the last couple of corners. I think it'll be blistering. Look at Sharp. She wanted to go for all the home run ball there. She was hard on the brakes. We'll see if that impedes, and it will. Breault going to have to slow down with a time penalty, and Sienna got in the Sharp. So right now, Arrowhead may not be too thrilled with just the 71 just did.
Let's take a look at that again. It looks like the 71 locked it up, forcing Carmen Sienna to go straight into the side, T-boning the 71 of Sharp. Good news for Sharp is she's already up there. She is currently sitting in third. As you see that hit again, tough hit for Carmen. I know they're not going to be very happy with each other at the end of that one. Good news for Sharp, bad news for Arrowhead. And you bring up a very interesting point. Team orders are going to definitely be in play here. We don't think of team orders very much on a road course, but because it's the end of the season, because there's so much going on, and because we've got drivers that are still on the bubble to get into the playoffs, I think team dynamics are going to play a big part in tonight's race in who wins, who loses, and who climbs up the ladder.
Yeah, and considering the fact, again, Carmen Sienna obviously only running for pride here. Team boss, if she can get Breault into the playoffs for the drivers and the owners, that could easily be a little extra cha-ching in her pocket. So it obviously is a little bit incentivized for her to help out all the teammates she can to get them as far up as they can. 46 seconds to go here. Dustin Hall coming through the last couple corners right now. Lap not looking the fastest, is improving, but may not be enough for a pole run. He'll have to find at least 2/10 if he wants to get that lunge and knock Nakamata off the perch. We'll see if the cat can get knocked off. As Hall comes across the last line here, he'll have one more attempt if he so chooses. Cross the line, he will not improve. Looks like he actually holds validated somewhere. So that lap will not count. He'll have 18 seconds to get back down the horse and try again. But looking through the field here, seeing drivers on runs, you got Nakamata, Hall, Wygant, Zier, Roberg, Swatsworth, Boone, the notable drivers in the top 15. So it's not going to be a lot of drivers that can really make that lunge and jump up. Checker flag is out in the session. Hall will loop it, so Hall will have to be good for P2. As you can see it right now, the helmet camera just trying to check the side. But other than that, right now, unless we see a shock from Zier, Wygant, or Roberg, that looks like that pink number 1 is going to find its way to pole position.
28 drivers have taken a qualifying time. We're seeing the last remnants of those here on the field as we see it follow along with the 50 of Lilac Zier trying to get one more attempt to get the 50 better qualifying spot. Her spot currently she's currently sitting in P8 right now, as the 8 would indicate on her lower third down there. So this is one more attempt to try to get her up front as she runs with the 81 of Susie and a couple other drivers out there as well.
Yeah, this is a cool graphics package. Obviously, it's been in the cooking in the oven for a while here. You've seen it through other series, at least the bottom ticker, but it's cool to see the full package brought out on the screen. YG just saw flash up on the board. He jumped up one spot, puts Trout down to 5th. But that's as high as he could climb. So looking through last runs here, Zier, Swatsworth, and Boone. Seemed to, again, Boone just crossed the line, smealed it as well. So this is pretty much it Zier and Swatsworth, the eyes we have on the prize here. I think it will be first Zier, then Swatsworth. And Zier, right now, the best chance to knock that one off the perch. Going to get a little help from that Sprinkles machine, the number 1, just up the road there. Actually, it's not the 1, but it's Kevin Gibney in the 3. So we'll see if Zier can get this toe and make something happen.
Lilac Zier coming to the final chicane in the Stepping Stone Ford Mustang. How will she navigate it expertly as expected? Through the chicane one last time, and through the Geico restart zone they will go. Lilac Zier pulls it down pit road, and she will not take time.
Must have invalidated somewhere, did not feel confident lap. So now Swatsworth, next driver up, he will keep the trucking going here. So it's either going to be Nekomata or him as he comes across the line. Swatsworth sets a time. That is, looking at the board right now, does not change. So he must have invalidated somewhere. So P13, he will stay, meaning that number 1 car is going to be the car that locks off pole position.
So Ruby Nekomata, the ringer for the ringer in the number 1 machine, will take the pole position officially. Usually the car run by Kevin Gibney Jr. in the number 1 for Valfreya Motorsports. Ruby Nekomata takes pole position. Dustin Hall second. Lily Peltier Sharp third. Pacey Wygant in the renumbered 17 fourth, and DJ Trout rounding out your top 5. Nekomata may be a very serious threat tonight in that number 1 for Valfreya Motorsports. It would not surprise me if we are talking about her quite a bit tonight. Pacing about to begin here in just a moment. You're watching live coverage of the HTL Cup Series live from Daytona International Speedway. The road course, the 2020 edition of the road course at Daytona, specially built for NASCAR during that fateful season that was so quickly interrupted by all the world events going on. As we get ready to start stacking them and pacing them one time, it should be one lap around this very, very long track. More than 2.5 miles, I believe, with 16 turns out here. As you see some of the drivers starting to come off pit road and get ready to start their one pace lap around the track.
Well, we have warm-up. It's a 5-minute warm-up first here, so we do got a little time before we see the half-lap pace lap for these drivers to get going. So last system check to try to make something happen here. And even though, again, the lap's being over 2 minutes long, you're not going to get much time to really do much of anything. Kind of similar to what Joe was saying, at least with one pace lap. You'll get at least maybe 1-2 flying laps if you want it, if you left the pit lane quite quickly, like we see this 31 of the Monte Dodson leaving. But I want to go back to our pulse and Ruby Nekomata for a second, kind of crunch some numbers here for a minute, considering the fact that that one is in a interesting spot in the owner standings right now. It's a good chance they've drafted in Nekomata, obviously Gibney getting opportunity to jump to the 3, and the team like, all right, we're going to give the 1, move some things around, try to get something to happen here to try to get that car some better owners point standings if the 1 can hold off and put the R in ringer around the Daytona road course. But we'll have to see how that all plays, and right now with 8 drivers locked into the owner standings, and for the regular playoffs only 6, it could be a good point dragging in a good driver, getting them the opportunity to try to get you a chance to get that extra little payday. Like we saw last night a little bit too, where if you go from 32nd in standings, now possibly fighting for a playoff, it's that little extra prize and a little extra chair at the top to get that done in the owner standings.
At this point in time, it's whatever you got to do to get yourself just that little extra in order to qualify for a little extra money at the end of the season. Whatever you need to do, you're going to take a swing and you're going to make it happen before the playoffs begin in just 2 races time. This is normally where I ask you, my friend, who are you watching? But I've got a feeling I know who you're going to be looking out for tonight, Kevin.
Well, there's a lot of interesting drivers throughout this field here. A lot of drivers you could have circled. I'm going to throw down a few names here. Obviously, we got to start with Nekomata, Ruby Nekomata. Obviously, pole sitter, ringer. We've seen ringers be very strong around here. Can't count that out. My second choice is going to be Dustin Hall. He's 6 wins in the HTL Cup Series, has been winless so far. Obviously had that heartbreak at Pocono. He's been knocking on the door to get his first win this season. I don't think we can count him out on that chance. And if I had to throw in a third name, I don't think we can count out Josh Gaiman. He's been podiumed at both the road courses right now. Only driver to say he's podium both road courses, finished second both times. I think with a little bit of a smaller field here, that could play into that 33 car's hand. So keep an eye on Gaiman, ready to reap havoc and try to get his first win. Actually, second win in the HTL Cup Series.
As for me, the first car I'm watching is obviously the 71 of Lily Peltier Sharp. She has been, ever since Suzuka East, she has been on a revenge tour, trying to get her name up there, trying to get her car qualified for playoff ready. And I've got a feeling tonight she's not taking any prisoners. I've got a feeling we're going to see a different side of her that we have not quite seen yet in competition tonight. So if anyone has everything to gain and nothing to lose, it's the 71 of Peltier Sharp. I'm also watching the 50 of Lilac Zier. The Stepping Stone Motorsports drivers are very sneaky and very quiet when it comes to road course races, and I've got a feeling they can slowly work their way up into the top 3, top 5, and walk away with a great points night tonight. And of course, the one driver you cannot count out under any circumstances is the 81 of Josh Susi. Susi is an incredible driver. He's won a couple races here already and podiumed over at Suzuka East, the last road course we were at. So if there's anybody who's got a quiet chance tonight to come from back to front, got a feeling it's that Hello Kitty machine in the very, very interesting colors tonight. It almost looks like a demo derby machine.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's ditched the hot pink interior and has kind of combined it with a few other sponsors there. It's very interesting. Hello Kitty, obviously he's going to go black unless there's that one character. Don't know the Hello Kitty universe enough there, but I know there's one that has a very dark color, and you can see right now. Romy on the side there.
No, Kuromi. That's not Kuromi on the side.
Oh, Kuromi is the black goth character on Hello Kitty.
Be careful with your words there, Kevin.
I'm trying to say it's like a bird. It's a bird or a crow or something. It's an animal. They're all animals in the Hello Kitty universe.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I never had a Hello Kitty phase, at least from my point, but other people obviously have.
I am shocked you've never had a Hello Kitty phase, Kevin. It's basically a rite of passage for all racing fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at the very least you definitely see it in Japan on the side of a lot of cars. But now we are going to head on to the main race here, and we'll talk Hello Kitty after the race, and we'll exchange that things.
Let's go ahead and go through your starting lineup for tonight's race here at the oval, or the road oval in Daytona International Speedway. Rudy Nakamata takes the number 1 to pole position. Dustin Hall, the maroon PC machine, in position number 2. Row number 2 belongs to Lily Peltier Sharp in third. Pacey Wygant in the 17 tonight will start position number 4. DJ Trout on the inside and Hunter Peach on the outside of row number 3. Josh Gaiman in the 33 will start 7th. Lilac Zier in 8th, and rounding out the top 10 will be the 27 of Selena Thompson and the 97, the super sub Martin Roberg.
As we move further down the road here, you'll see in row number 6, Jeremy Braille and Byron Jones will make up the 6th row. Row 7 will be Shad Swadsworth and super sub Bobby Flowers. Bobby Flowers still looking for that first victory. Matthew Boone and Bobby Crivelli will be in row number 8. Crivelli rocking out the Dunkin' Donuts colors with GC Gibney Drive. Row 9 will be Dean Clavitt and Elias Flores. Clavitt, very strong driver, trying to keep that form going. David Steele Jr. and Eli Sassick will be in row number 10. Willie Frazier and Alfred Denny will make up row number 11. Austin Mongold, Zachary Meredith will make up row 12. Josh Arnold and Zachary Apperson will be in row 13. Carmen, Sienna, and Richard Odie will make up row 14. Joshua Sosi, top to start in the back, along with Constantino in row 15. Monte Dodson and Blake Henderson will be in row 16. Kevin Gibney Jr. and Gary Donaldson will be in row 17. And that is how the field will shake down with all 17 rows of 34 drivers.
34 drivers will take the call when we go green flag racing. Bianca Constantino unable to fix her electrical issues during the qualifying and warm-up, so she will go ahead and start at the very end of the field as well. 34 drivers getting ready to go green flag racing, 44 laps around the oval here at Daytona International Speedway, and it's all about to start once we cross over that final chicane and onto the racing surface. Get ready for some very entertaining driving all the way around the field. The pace car makes a hard left turn down pit road. They are in the command of Ruby Nakamata. Green flag flies, and we are racing at Daytona International Speedway. Ruby Nakamata setting the pace for the field, all out there getting a big run on Louis Peltier Sharp, who has inherited position number 2. Dustin Hall, Pacey White, DJ Trout round out your top 5. Everybody getting spread out. Everybody, for the most part, getting single file, trying to figure out where they want to run, how they want to run. I've got a feeling all these drivers know what's on the line, and none of them want to be the first one to make a major mistake out here.
Yeah, because if you make a major mistake, it, at the very least, is going to be at least a penalty for losing any stage moves you could get, but it could also spin to something else, considering there are no fast repairs. If you end up taking a bad spot, bad hit into the wall, you could be in a bad spot for the rest of the race. Speaking of the stages and everything else, 3 stages in this race, breaks at lap 10 and 20. There'll be 6 sets of tires available and 13 to 15 laps of fuel and a 12-gallon fuel cell. So obviously you can comfortably make it to the first 2 stages. The car hopped the corner there. Hunter Beach had to get way low on the brakes. Gaiman going to split the tides there. And he will gain at least 2 spots, putting him up to 6th spot. But at the end of lap number 1, it's going to be Nakamata leading. Other drivers going in aggressive. Henderson having to try to do a slide job, then get into pull out of the way. Does not want to face the wrath of the stewards there by cutting the corner. But back up front, Nakamata pulling out a 2-second gap on Peltier Sharp. And this is where it gets a bit interesting. For Sharp, for Hall, right now both drivers outside looking in the playoffs. How aggressive do you be? Obviously, we're still 8 laps to go in the stage. But how aggressive do you want to be in these regards to get those extra points? Because if, let's say, you fight, try to make a move, and get spun, 8 is bigger than 0. So it's up to driver discretion how aggressive they want to run. Speaking of Gaiman, with that win he got last week, locked in, he can be as aggressive as he likes to be.
Or not, if he has to. Remember, because he's got that win, because he's locked in, he does a whole lot less to worry about. Tonight he can just run for a good time. He can run for points. He can run wherever he wants. But having yourself locked in makes it a lot easier to breathe, especially at a track like this when we're only 2 races away from the All-Star race and then the start of the playoffs in just a couple weeks' time. Nakamata getting a huge run, over a second on Sharp, Dustin Hall, Pacey White, and DJ Trout all running single file. Nobody battling across the track right now. In fact, all these cars allowing about a quarter of a second between one another as they feel out this track at speed.
Yeah, this is the feeling out process. Cold tires, full tanks of fuel. Don't 100% know what this car feels like. Last week, you probably had this experience on it. It was probably going to be the first upping laps of qualifying and also practice. So this is a good chance to really make a move. Here we see Pacey Wygen, odd to see him in the 17 Red Bull machine, but he is now piloting that machine, at least for this week. Currently sitting in 4, and it looks like Lilacs here had a little off moment. She's now down to 9th, and actually, big fender there. Someone's lost the front clip. That is Lilacs here. She's had a bit of a moment here, and that is not good for the driver of the 50.
Not good, especially at a track like this. Let's take a moment back here and take a look at what happened to the 50 riding along the bumper of the 33. Just overcooked it, coming out of the final chicane straight into the wall, and that might knock out a toe, if not more, for her. So Lilacs here, one of the favorites to win this race, or at least be up front, is now going to have to battle a car that is not as competitive as we thought.
So looking at another replay here, you'll see on Gaiman's bumper cam, yeah, it just kicks, and that is a very helpless feeling when the thing kicks. You're just hoping you can stop it or it kicks the other direction. but sadly it kicked the wrong direction. But two good things, at least for Zier. One, she has a big points gap that she can fall back on if need be. And two, though, car does not look horribly damaged per se. It looks like it's a lot more just a broken fender and no front clip, so she should be okay to at least keep going with at least a length repair at the end of stage number one. But looking at the points right there, you can see Zier 128 points, highest driver without a win, and pretty much locked in too, because with the max amount of points being 60 and 60 over 2 weeks, she's already locked in. So overall, she's another driver that doesn't have to fear, but obviously losing points puts it further down and puts her in a spot where she can get less playoff points, meaning when the playoffs start, she could be at a bit more of a disadvantage than the cars that do have wins and better finishes. So right now, still looking locked in, but needs to be a little careful. Other than that, looking at some other road course runners that have won at the road courses. Alistair Kirk, we saw him last week, has had 4 wins on the road courses. Bianca Constantinou, 3 wins, we're currently behind the wall. Caitlin Height with 2 wins, Valentine with 2 wins, and a handful of other drivers, including Sosi and Gaiman, both having 1 win apiece at road courses throughout the HTL's 4 seasons.
So Stepping Stone Motorsports not having a great night so far, but that being said, they already have 1 car qualified in. If Lily Peltier-Sharp can make a win tonight, she might be the second one locked in for Stepping Stone Motorsports. Meanwhile, no changes up front. Rudy Nekamata continues to run without any challenge. Dustin Hall dispatches Lily Peltier-Sharp for position number 2 coming into the first 2 turns, and now around the carousel turn in the infield. So Dustin Hall moves up to position number 2. Peltier-Sharp drops to position number 3. DJ Trout and Pacey Wygant rounding out your top 5. So they're getting a little more aggressive now. They're getting a little racy as they've got heat in the tires, as they've got a little bit more confidence underneath them. I just have to know at what point do they really start racing in earnest.
See that in the final stage, maybe a bit of the second stage. We'll see that action play out. But right now, I think it's still a feeling out process. But I think it will be indicative because Dustin Hall last lap ran the fastest out of the top 5 with 155.24. Rudy Nekamata's 155.54. So now that Hall's a bit leading this train, see if he can maybe kind of cut into that gap. Nekamata's now thrown up to 4 seconds. But Lily Peltier-Sharp, she's not going to give up so easily. But again, you don't want to overcook, don't want to try to make an aggressive move here on lap 4 and throw away a lot of stage points, even a good finish, when you're just barely behind the cut line right now. So maybe a bit of riding will not hurt, but telling a driver just to ride and stay stationary, as we see the points are now 4 points back. If she obviously, let's say, finishes where she is right now, she would get enough points to jump inside the top 16 with Celine Thompson currently in 9th. It's about a 7-point swing. So she would jump into the top 16 just after 1 stage alone.
Definitely a possibility. There's still a lot going on this track as we're watching the 11 and 77 continue to do battle across the start-finish line to begin lap number 5. The 77 going to dive it into the corner over the 12 machine, and that will give her back position number 2. Can Dustin Hall do the crossover? He's looking for it. Oh, they almost make contact in the S-turns, but Peltier-Sharp will get the better of that to score the 71. Back in position number 2 over Dustin Hall, and I don't think this battle is done yet.
Yeah, right now that's the battle. One enjoying this battle the most is number 1. The kitty is sitting like a cat with some milk right now as she's looking in her mirror watching these 2 cars fight for second position right now. One driver that's had a little bit of trouble around the track, Blake Henderson. He's had to come down for emergency service after knocking out the front end, came through the bus stop, through the Le Mans chicane, I believe it's called now, and he just hit that wall, and he probably broke a toe link too. We'll take a look here. You'll see car similar kicks out the lilacs here and just bam in the wall right there. Big lick. Fender goes flying, and that could be possibly curtains for that 25.
Definitely a tough rig for the Tombstone Motorsports driver. We'll have to see how much damage, in fact, is on that car. But with that big hit into the wall, that might be his night completely. If not, he's going to have a hard time getting it around the track just for points and exposure for the sponsor. Nekamata continuing to lead as we will take a look one more time. Or no, we'll go back live now.
So looking at the contract now between Hall and Sharp, I obviously saw this battle in real time. This is what the move Sharp made, and you can just see how close it was. Sharp had the line. Hall was just trying to put the pinch, trying to force that Sony one in an uncompromised position. It could be a game of inches around here. Both cars keep pulling in the right direction, but Sharp and Hall, no love lost, at least for the moment. Up front, though, Nekamata just set a blistering lap last time by. Purple lap. See if she does it again here. She is putting the hammer down. She saw a driver switch for second. She was like, all right, got to extend this gap at least by another second. She won't best her time. She'll be a little slower, but she is still right now about a half a second clear of Sharp on leaderboards on times, with Nakamata at a 155.4 and Sharp at a 156.12. So Nakamata still growing that gap in that number 1.
Last time around, that gap was 5 seconds. So this may come down to pit road and how everyone wants to pit, where everybody wants to pit, and what they want to do when it comes time. Remember, you can run stages 1 and 2 without a pit stop, but stage 3, you're going to need at least 1, if not more, depending on what happens. No caution flags out here tonight unless something catastrophic happens, but they will try to avoid calling full field cautions unless we're at the stage break. So it should be the only 2 caution flags we see tonight. As they continue to run, no changes in your top 6. Joshua Gaiman now in front of Pacey Wygant. Martin Roberg, the super sub for Ascent, is now moved up to position 7, 3 points from where he started.
You know, if we see a full course caution here tonight, I think I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket because, well, it's in the stage break, so that is a rarity around here, and it usually does not occur. Cutting a little bit further back here, I believe we're on the 97 of Martin Roberg riding on board right now as he's going through a couple corners here. About a second and some change away from Pacey Wygant, and about half a second clear of Hunter Peach behind. So in a bit of no man's land right now, but there could be a lot worse. You know the goal you have to chase, but also feeling the pressure from behind a little bit, knowing he has to make sure he doesn't put a foot wrong. Some drivers live for this feeling. Right now, Roberg is currently experiencing it, currently sitting in 7th. And for a driver that's been very strong this season as a fill-in driver coming in late, he's doing a great job keeping those cars in the top 10. If you cut a little bit further back here, Gaiman has reeled in the back a Trout as we have a good battle shaping up for P4. Trout and Gaiman are going to battle for that 4th spot.
4 laps left in stage number 1, and everybody is fighting for Ruby Nakamata's scraps. Almost 6 seconds last time by, so everyone second on back is basically fighting for second place and the positions thereof. Sharp still in second. She's got a good run on Dustin Hall, about a second between them. Last lap by, DJ Trout under fire from Joshua Gaiman, as they've got a little bit of a close call between them. And then there's a 17 of Pacey Wygant, who's getting a run as well. Those 3 could be the next battle to watch.
Yeah, you can see right there, I believe that is the 8-7 race machine of Austin Mongol, just letting cars go here. It's gone a lap down. Don't see any major damage reports or things in that front right fender looks a little destroyed. So maybe he got a little contact somewhere in that number 91. He's going to let more cars go. Doesn't want to cause any headaches. Don't want to get any unnecessary penalties here, especially when the dog ain't your day. So he'll get back on, just let cars go here. But a bit of a pain for Austin Mongol here tonight. Back up to the battle for P4. Trout showing why he's hanging with the big dogs here. He's trying to hold off last week's race winner, Josh Gaiman. Gap continuing to grow, but this is where the super speedway dynamics play in a factor, as you don't get big slipstream runs at road courses that the NASCAR Cup cars go to. And this is going to at least help Gaiman a bit get those good high speeds that he could then run in. You can see how smooth he is running this corner, and that little extra toe, give him that little extra speed. Now he'll get another chance to run off, but Trout a little better off exit, but right now Gaiman at least closing a little bit with those on the high banks.
Closing a little bit to DJ Trout, and every little bit counts out here. Every opportunity you get to get a little bit of time back on the guy in front of you definitely gets you that much closer to the pass, especially as time runs out. 3 laps to go in stage number 1. Nakamata now over 6 seconds away. She is running away with it, as now Gaiman's going to be the first one to come down pit road.
Yeah, we saw a few other drivers do as well, including, I think, not Bobby Crivella, Dean Clavitt and Bobby Ballers came in a lap earlier, but this is the first driver inside the top 10 that can come in. And we know Josh Gaiman, he loves these alt strategies. He loves pitting for the stages. And when he has that win, he doesn't have to care about stage points. Fuel only stop for Gaiman, 6.4 seconds, and he is away. So he's going to presumably inherit the lead more than likely when we see the stage end on lap 10 here. And with pit lane closing next time by, any of the cars will have to pull off coming to the next lap quickly before Nakamata crosses the line, but no other major takers other than Josh Sosi and Byron Jones. So they will also elect to pit here, but Gaiman going to be the Pied Piper of the cars that pit before the end of stage number 1 is now we cut back to the race lead.
Byron Jones taking fuel only. Constantino still on pit road with electrical trouble out there. So the ringer, the one that we thought was going to win tonight, may not get a chance to win at all. Back up front, Nekomata in her own time zone, basically. Nobody around her as Louis Peltier Sharp over 7 seconds and counting behind. Dustin Hall's keeping pace with Sharp up there. DJ Trout and Pacey White should remain your top 5. And we'll see who comes down pit road this next time by. As they go through Le Mans chicane, back through the turns, the traditional turns 3 and 4, and then through the Cup car chicane. We'll see right there if anybody decides to take fuel this time by and try to get going on the next stage. Ruby Nekomata will not. Lily Peltier Sharp, what will she do? She also will not. Pit road, never mind. Pit road is closed at this point as there's only 2 left to go.
Yep, so pit lane officially closed once Nekomata crossed the stripe. So if Nekomata were to pit, any of us could follow in, but since she didn't, no one else can. So it's race on here as Hall and Sharp are going to have a ding-dong battle here for P2 respectively. And you can see on the time boards as well, Selena Thompson working her way up. She's currently sitting in 7th, but she's making a slow climb as well. So a lot of drivers taking advantage, charging forward. There's the 27 machine right now. Another driver that's currently the bubble driver, 3 points ahead, knowing Sharp's got a big haul coming at the end of the stage, at least with 9 or 8 points, depending on how the battle will haul shapes out. But she needs to get as many as she can to stop that bleeding and try to make it at least more manageable here. But Hall getting good run through the chicane, or at least the 180 turn here, but can't get that major run, still sitting behind Sharp.
We talked about Ascent Racing earlier in the race. Now these drivers are slowly starting to ascend through the field. Elias Flores, the 99 machine, started 18th, is now running in the top 10 in position number 9. And Eli Sasek, who started back in position number 20, is now just outside in position number 11. So Ascent could have 3 of 4 drivers in the top 10 by the time this stage finishes.
Yeah, I was just about to report something. Austin Bongo got a beach on one of the chicane, through the bus stop chicane right there in the high corner. He got it stuck on that sausage curb, and he just basically had stuck there spinning the wheel. I was wondering if that could possibly be a caution if he couldn't tow it out, but luckily no cars were going through at that time. He towed before anything major happened, but still, very of an odd situation, just dealing with a wounded car, trying to get to the end of stage 1, just couldn't make it to the end of that line. We're back to P2 here as Nekomata about to come across the line to start the final lap in the stage. Still game on for P2.
Definitely game on for P2 as these two play cat and mouse with one another. Sharp and Hall less than a second away from each other now. About 3 car lengths separate those 2 drivers. Well, who's going to put the brakes first as they go into turns 1 and 2? Sharp has the advantage, but here comes Hall trying to make a good move off that turn. Now into the S's around that front stretch. Sharp has once again the advantage, and she's going to continue her run over Dustin Hall. Dustin Hall can do nothing but watch as the 71 continues to drive away.
And it's a bit helpless. Obviously, Hall, a very strong driver, but when both cars are running pretty much dead even times, there's really nothing you can do. You just got to try to ride, try to get as much of a run you can, and hope that car ahead makes a mistake to get that little extra lunge. But Sharp keeping her cool, keeping her nerve. We saw this at stage 1 in Suzuka, where she was able to hold off the charge and keep the battle with Trout and hang on to get that stage victory. So Sharp not cracking under the pressure right now, holding on to that second position.
So Dustin Hall, again, nothing he can do as Sharp continues to run flawlessly on this lap through what we would normally call turn 1 and 2 onto the backstretch here at Daytona. And she's starting to get a big run away from Dustin Hall out there. No other major battles on the field. Everybody spread out. So basically, it's the only battle on track is for position number 2 as Nekomata gets through the Le Mans turn and starting to go towards the Cup chicane. Peltier Sharp gets through, Dustin Hall gets through, and Ruby Nekomata about to get to the Cup chicane to take away stage number 1.
Yep, one more corner to go. You don't want to... Oh, caution early here. That's not where you're supposed to call it. Probably to reduce pace laps. I'm hearing through comm here. So it looks like it was just to make sure the pace car get caught up and do it. So a little early call there, but obviously it was going to be uncontested for stage 1 at the very least. So Nekomata will win the stage with Sharp second, Hall third. We'll take a look at that final 10. Nekomata, Sharp, Hall, Trout, Wygent, Roberg, Thompson, Peach, Flores, Swatsworth, Braille, Crivelli, your top 10. Look at Elias Flores from 18th to 9th here. And actually, Crivelli and Braille don't get points as it's the top 12 here. So Swatsworth on up, but still, good drive by Flores to go up about a gain of 9 spots to get some stage points.
Great run by Elias Flores, but again, all eyes are on Ruby Nekamata. 10 laps run, 10 laps led, and now all eyes will be on her as she decides when to come down pit road. She doesn't have to come down pit road this time around. Between the pace laps and what she's already run, she'll have a couple laps left to go if she wants to come down at the beginning of stage number 2. Now, that being said, I don't know that that's the best move, because if she does, then she's going to have a huge gap between her and the 3 drivers who have already come down pit road.
Yeah, we know those drivers that pitted are going to leap forward here with the advantage of the pit stop, so they will at the very least jump forward. But some drivers may let the stab, but knowing the fuel run here being about 13 to 15 laps, they cannot stay out and make it, so they'll all have to come in to get fuel only. But Gaiman, look at the drivers that came in. Josh Gaiman, he elected to come in. Lily Frazier came in. Sosi, Clavitt, Blowers, Jones, they will all get promoted here up spots and get a better run. So they're going to try to take the advantage and say, look, first stage, throw it as a wash, but now stay out here for stage 2, use the track position, and maybe a slight tire disadvantage, which tires aren't the most important here, but use that track position to try to run away and get a stage 2 victory if need be.
If they can, that's a $64,000 question. If they can, and how do they want to do it? Because this track is not easy to pass. It's not just as simple as set up in turn number 1 and get around in turn number 3. And it's not as simple as use lap traffic, because with how big this track is, you may not see lap traffic anytime soon. It's all about making your timing and being able to run your race and hit your marks exactly where you want to in order to get ahead. And that's why I think a lot of these drivers sometimes miss out there. They miss the forest for the trees, especially at a gigantic track like this. It's a lot different than driving Watkins Glen or Sonoma or even Suzuka East.
For reference, the only cars that went a lap down that time by were Sienna, Henderson, and Mongold. And Sienna obviously came in early, and obviously was a little bit further back, and obviously repaired some of her damage she had in her car. She had a bit of an off-road moment. Henderson, I saw how his torn-up machine was, and at the same point, Austin Mongold, we already know his escapades as well. It looks like Gibney has spun it through the bus stop here under pace laps as he'll get fired back up. But now, pit lane going to be open this time by. Cars going to elect to pit here. We'll see. Presumably most of the cars will come in as they'll need the fuel. And we'll keep an eye on our little fancy little pit stop clock here to see how long Nekamata will be in her box for here. Whether it'll be fuel only, 2 tires, or 4 tires. It's up to the Lonely Wanderer to decide. They'll have to do it very quickly.
As to Nekamata goes, I think the rest of the field will go. And as I'm looking at them, I'm potentially betting on 4 tires and a full tank of virtual racing fuel, as both Sharp and Hall overshoot their stalls. The number 1 of Nekamata doesn't look like she's taking fuel or she's taking tires. No, it's fuel only. The 12 is going to get off fuel only as well. And the 71 has a bad pit stop after severely overshooting her stall as well. So she will drop several positions as they come off pit road. It'll be Nekamata, Dustin Hall, Martin Roberg, Selena Thompson, and Hunter Peach, your top 5. Willie Peltier Sharp drops position 6.
Yep, all those 5 cars have in common. They all came in under the stage break, those top 3. So they're going to, again, get them on the track position to make something happen. You can see Denny with a little long stop there to fix up some damage. Gibney coming in a little bit late. There's Odie. He took 4 tires. Zier fixing up her car a little bit more, along with Byron Jones. Matthew Boone with a heavy damage repair. So all these cars you see with the long clocks, just repairing it up. Constantine obviously been there for a while. Henderson still heavily torn up. So a lot of these cars use an opportunity with the long pace laps and get that car repaired. So if you do tear it up a little bit, you got a lot of time to get it fixed up. But the problem is, if you put a lot of damage on it, it's never going to be back to 100%. It may not even be a passing grade. So again, for some, they're going to use the opportunity to just get as many points as they can. For others, they're going to try to get it as fixed up to the best they can and maybe try to compete again.
That's all you can do, is if you're damaged on a track like this, all you can do is pick it up, and hope for the best. Normally, at a super speedway like this, they would set you up with at least one quick repair in the event of calamity. When the big one happens, they want you to be set. Not so much tonight, not so much at this track right here. Instead, you are stuck with whatever equipment you have. That's why we've seen drivers like Lilac Zier drop to the back, Austin Mongold, and others. They've been damaged and have not had that success, and now they are feeling the penalties for it. So this track is all about survival. It's all about managing your car and managing where to be aggressive and how you want to be aggressive as well. If you don't have that management, your hopes could go up in smoke, just like the tires do in one of these chicanes.
Being calm, methodical, and patient to try to get these good runs. Okay, one more lap of pacing here before we see the green flag and long pace laps. But this cuts in to the laps needed as well for requirement. Obviously, in first stage, it's a 10-lap dash. This, when we get the green, we're going to see, presumably, doing some quick math here, be 14, 15, 16. That's 7 laps of run, so less laps than the first stage. So even more opportunity for the cars that stayed out to try to get that little extra push and make it a little bit harder for Nekomata, Hall, the others to try to get back the spots they had for the cars that early pitted in stage 1.
The lights should go off this time by, and as they would stand, it'll be right now. Ruby Nekomata, we'll have to see exactly. It should be Josh Gaiman in position number 1. They haven't cycled around yet from the pit stops, so it should be the 33 in position number 1 and maybe the 81 in position number 2. Two drivers that came down early will now have the lead of this field. We'll see exactly how that works out for them.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out indeed. We'll see him double up here right now. Gaiman and Sosi going to be row 1, sister teammates fighting side by side. You know, both drivers have that win, so it's probably gloves off between the two of them. You can see, obviously, with the far side, as the rest of the field gets bunched up here. Glavit Nekomata will be row 2, Hall Roberg row 3, Thompson Peach row 4, and Sharp, who had a very slow start, will be in row 5, outside flanked by Elias Flores.
So one more very long pace lap for these drivers. 3.5 minutes to go around this track at pace speed. It gives you a lot of time to think, really. It gives you a lot of time to really consider what you're doing and where you're going. Kevin, do you think any of these drivers are getting a little bit in their own head right now and getting in a little bit of their own way as they think about stage number 2?
I would think so, at least a little bit. Obviously, a lot of these drivers are professionals. They know how to turn out the noise. But with these long pace laps, you see the same thing at ovals where it's caution on caution on caution sometimes. It sits on your mind. It spins your wheels. You're like, all right, I had a good start that time by, but it just got negated by a caution. I'm going to have to do it again and again and again. Like Adidas rolling the ball up the hill. Eventually, it's going to come back down, and eventually, you'll eventually, even though, like that story, it will eventually go over the hill. And these laps just eat into your time, eat into your mind. And you got to say, all right, you just got to basically get yourself back in line, get yourself refocused when you get probably to the bus stop here. For some, that's like floating on a life stitch. For others, it can be quite a struggle.
I've got a feeling that we're going to see a little bit of both when we go back to green flag racing in just a half lap's time, plus or minus. They have cleared the infield and are now working their way through the long road around turns 1 and 2 to the back stretch. Kevin, do your thoughts still stand? Do your drivers who are still watching still stand? Or have you changed your mind around a little bit?
I mean, considering the drivers I picked were Gaiman, Nekomata, and Hall, and they're currently 1, 4, and 5, I feel very confident in my picks still here, and I think we got a good chance to see all of them finish at least in the top 5. I'll throw the same question to you, Joe. Do you feel confident in your picks right now, or if we saw a cash-out option like this was on an online betting app, would you be taking it?
Well, I should have taken the online the cash-out early option a lot more this year than I did, but that's neither here or there. I feel okay about my picks. Peltier Sharp is still in the mix right now. Lilac Zier, who was one of my picks, got wrecked out early and is now just trailing the end of the field at this point. So definitely an L for me there. And Josh Susi is still in the mix as well. So I don't feel terrible about my picks right now. I don't feel terrible about what I'm looking at on the field. I wish Lilac Zier would have had a better evening, but so far, there's a lot of potential in this group.
Yeah, a lot of potential, a lot of strong drivers, and looking at drivers that need wins. Clavitt not need a win per se, but would definitely help him get some major playoff points. Thompson on the cut line could use it. Sharp, obviously we know her struggles. Flores even further back. Some drivers very hungry to find that first win of the season and maybe get that momentum for the playoffs starting in a couple weeks. But lights are out on the pace car. It will take the hard left once we get to the bus stop here, and it will be on the control of Josh Gaiman when we get into the restart zone. And this is also, with the field being so long, depending on the start of the bus stop, it could be a situation where it could really stack up the field. But as they come to the last corner, pace car going to pull on off. It will be on Gaiman's control. Green flag is out, and away we go for stage number 2. As they enter the oval here right now, Sosap's got around Gaiman, but look at Dustin Hall. We've kept an eye on him throughout that first couple corners, and he's upped a bunch of spots here. Big wreck behind Selena Thompson involved. That is going to be some major implications here, as she is currently slow on the back straight here, as she's going to get fired back up. But back to what I was saying about Hall, though. Hall, multiple spots gained there, and he is now sitting P3 comfortably, more importantly ahead of Nekomata, who was the shining star favorite of stage number 1.
Going back to Selena Thompson, it was a solo spin coming out of the infield that caused her to go around. Let's go ahead and watch it one more time there. Doesn't look like she had any contact from Peach. I believe she solo spinned out there trying to get a jump coming out of that field, and the 8th did the same thing back there. So as we talk about drivers getting in their heads a little bit, this track is slowly starting to make some drivers slips. And now Gaiman involved.
Yeah, Gaiman, big mistake there through the bus stop. Looked like he locked it up, and that's going to be time lost for Gaiman. We'll get another look at that as well, but you can see now split 3 wide. Clavitt going to try to be the big winner here, as he's going to make it a 2-for-1 special, but Hall not going to go around quietly here, and this is pretty much racy here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all in a blanket. A, this is what Sosi wants to see, is this gives him a lot of room. But secondly, now all these cars fighting, it's about trying to hold the nerve and not take someone out and make the damage worse for the time you lost.
Major mistake for Joshua Gaiman, who's normally very collected at these tracks. Will drop 4 spots. Let's take a look at what happened again going through that final chicane. Gaiman at the start check that. Nope, we are going to go back. Okay, let's go ahead and go back there now. Looks like Gaiman either got some contact from the 12 of Dustin Hall or just caught it on one of those curves over there. Looks like he made contact with the 12, and that got him spun out. Able to collect himself. It's good news. Didn't do a whole lot of damage. The bad news is he definitely lost some spots, and that is going to hurt him.
Yeah, Gaiman's had a history at Suzuki's. We saw this. We saw it at Sonoma. He's made a mistake, and we see the replay here again. Even in that point, Hall got into him, and that spun him out. But very minor time loss for this 33-car Josh Gaiman. So at the end of the day, could have been a lot worse, but Gaiman's overcome the odds before in these situations. He's reeled it back in, so we can't count that 33. Mistakes happen, but he always is, even though sometimes you give him a shovel, he digs himself right back out to get himself back into competitive condition. But back up front, Sosi hold the spot, and then you can see side by side, it's right now Peach battling Trout, as Trout will get clear, and Trout with a bit of a slow pit stop, now update the position.
Joshua Gaiman holding off Willie Peltier sharp. Ruby Nekomata is still on her own in position number 5. As 71 wants to get around the 33 the hard way. The 33 nowhere to go on that outside, on the outside of that chicane. They both go sliding, and Willie Peltier sharp overcooks it. Going out of that chicane, that may cost her some time, as right now she's ahead of the 33, but for how much longer?
Yeah, she's going to have to concede that spot, as she did gain a lot of time this year on the brakes. They're letting it go, and that's going to be 2 spots lost for 1 mistake, even though she'll try to hang out here. And giving up time after making a mistake like that, obviously in real life NASCAR, that would be a stop. You'd have to stop right there through the tri-oval, give up the time, come back. But with iRacing standards and rules, it's only a bit of a time bleed here. You get maybe a flash screen saying it's 1.5 seconds or so on and so forth, and you have to give that time up over the span, maybe 60 seconds. So you can kind of be strategic with it a little bit here, try to drive forward, hold off a battle, and maybe give that time in a bit of a trickier spot to try to back up the field a tiny bit or maybe minimize damage. So it's about maximizing the time you give up if you are given a penalty. And right there you see Sharp obviously let the game and back through, was able to hold up Nakamata. As you do see a piece of a fender there, it looks like it's a machine here. So Absence had a mistake somewhere around the track. As you can see, there's his front clip. So obviously a long way from home as he's now pulling it off here, as I think it may be curtains for the 4.
Heavy damage to the nose of that 4. Looks like he broke a toe link as well on that front right side. Let's see exactly what happened here as he comes off the track going into turns 1 and 2, unable to slow it down. You see him locking it up, go straight into that tire barrier and then straight into that wall, and that will definitely bust your suspension up every time.
Yeah, we want to go back 3 wide between Gaiman, Nakamata, and Sharp. Gaiman and Sharp have made a move for the bus stop. Sharp had to go wide. Gaiman had to cut the bus stop a little bit, and that's why Gaiman's given up some time here. Look at Roberg taking advantage of the 2 drivers taking each other to the slaughterhouse, and right now Roberg trying to be the big winner here.
Roberg doing everything he can as the super ringer. They're going to go side by side through the cup chicane, and it will be Gaiman ahead of Roberg. And it looks like Ruby Nakamata may have been the loser there, as she's now going to be behind, I believe that's DJ Trout. So Nakamata drops 2 positions as a result of that. She was in 5th, now score in 8th.
Yeah, you also there, Hunter Peach. He got around, Sasek hit the wall. A few other cars involved as well. We'll see the replay here a little bit further back. Actually, we're going to check the battle first between Sharp and Gaiman, and then we'll check that damage repair there. But you can see right there, Sharp trying to hang it on the low side. Gaiman had to cut the corner. Sharp then had to go wide, try to re-merge, and then you'll see Robert just say, thank you very much. I'll get 1 spot, 2 spots, even 3 spots from the advantage that opened up. And as we keep an eye on the long shot here, looks like, well, actually, let's go back to live actions. We can see Nakamata right now in a bit of a train, Roberg behind, and you can see DJ Trout ready to crash the party. Another car around. That's a 94 machine spun around there as he has now jumped the pit lane as well.
So Joshua Susie continues to lead. Dustin Hall hot on his trail, less than a second between them last time by, and now that gap is closing. Half second between Susie and Hall. Clavette now in 3rd, all by himself. And Willie Peltier Sharp has to fight off Josh Gaiman and company as they continue to go around this track. 3 laps to go when we cross the start-finish line, as it looks like Clavette is going to continue to run by himself. I'm keeping an eye on Joshua Susie and Dustin Hall. First off, their battle is starting to heat up, and secondly, we know that Susie is on a completely different pit schedule than everybody else. Is he going to elect to keep it out and try to win the stage, or is he going to come down early like he did last time?
He's got that fuel, so he can make it longer, and he did take 4 tires in comparison to the Hall, taking fuel only on the stop. Dosi obviously could use the layup points at least a little bit to try to give himself a little extra cushion. Right now, he will elect to stay out at least this time by. Nakamata hanging on the back of Roberg here as they cut through the bus stop as well. Obviously, Nakamata really hasn't carved up through the field as much as she would like. Right now, sitting in 7th position. 2 drivers electing to come in for stage break next time by. It is going to be Trout, Spotsworth, and Zier, along with possibly Dotson, but Dotson will think better of it. So Zier, Thompson, and Trout all in. And remember, Trout was in the top 10. But right now, as this battle heats up, also keep an eye on Gaiman and Sharp. They are still not ready to give up, as you see a lock up there by Roberg, and now Nakamata going to be on the inside.
Nakamata on the inside now, trying to get away from both the 97 of Roberg and the 8 of Jeremy Brault. So score Nakamata up potentially 2 positions as the 33 of Gaiman locks it through the second carousel turn. Locks it up, gets his folks those tires a little bit, but does get a little bit of time on Lily Peltier Sharp, who's trying to catch up to Dean Clavette. Back up front, only about 4 car lengths between Josh Susie and Dustin Hall.
Back up to the lead. You can see, like we were talking about, Joe, 4 car lengths separates the top 2 here. Hall, knowing 10 points could be crucial, possibly going into the high banks of Daytona next week.
knowing coming into the night was about 20 odd so points away. Actually, it was 15 points. Stage 1 obviously got a handful. If he can get a tenner, that would basically presumably promote him up at least to the line or put him over, making it a little bit easier map going next week, bearing how the final stage goes. Right now, making some inroads, but that bus stop was not the smoothest he needed to be. But the question is, we know Sosi was trying that alt strategy in the first stage. Does he elect to come in here? Because pit lane closes once the leader crosses the line in about 30 seconds.
So Susie comes around the cup chicane. This time by, it's his last chance to come down pit road, and he will make the cut. He will come down pit road with 2 to go, giving the lead to the 12 of Dustin Hall. Is anybody else going to join him down pit road? So far, no takers. Everybody's skipping by. So Susie on his own has it closed.
Yeah, pit lane closed there once Hall crossed the line. So basically, Sosi and Hall were the only two that could really make that move. Obviously, they both came in. Then Clavitt could have been the next driver that would have crossed the line, depending on situation. But Hall will stay out. Right now, looking poised to take that top 10. That 10 mass points. But we saw in the replay there, when we were watching Sosi hit his box, he missed it a little bit. Obviously, different strategy, doesn't have to play as much, but still, that's going to be at least a little extra time he just lost by missing his box. Right there, you can see Nekomata sitting 5th, trying to hunt down Gaiman. That's going to be a tall task in a lap and a half. But Gaiman and Sharp still kind of close here. Sharp, though, staying cool under pressure, sitting in 3rd position.
Dustin Hall, no one's going to challenge him. Dean Clavette quite a ways behind, 2.6 seconds. So unless Dustin Hall makes a big mistake, it's his stage to lose. Back in 3rd, Peltier Sharp has a lead over Gaiman. Ruby Nekomata comes back to position number 5. Jenna Brialt, Martin Roberg, Pacey Wygant, Elias Flores, and I believe Byron Jones will round out your top 10 as they continue to race through traditional turns 1 and 2, now down the back stretch. Dustin Hall makes it the first through the long turn, no problems there. It'll be Dean Clavette as well, no problems. Willie Peltier Sharp, no problems, as Joshua Gaiman uses that as an opportunity to get some moves and try to catch up to Peltier Sharp. Isn't too little too late, though.
It's going to be close here, reeling in, but unless you have a blistering lap, no one is seeing the differences on times. Sharp was making better inroads. She was about, last time by, give or take about 7/10 better than Clavitt. You can see Clavitt lock it up there. So there's a good chance Sharp will get that 90 somewhere. But depending on where she can catch it is one thing. But if she gets in a bad spot where there's no passing lanes, she's not going to have much chance to really get around here. Now officially 25 laps to go. Last lap in the stage. Hall, 3 clear. There's Clavitt in 2nd. And then you can see Sharp in hot pursuit along with Gaiman. See if they can reel in a spot, knowing both drivers need a point. And Sharp just went wide. Gaiman on the inside now. He will be promoted up to 3. So the chin just cracked to the 71 a little bit. And Gaiman flexed the muscle, took the spot.
Great move by Gaiman to get around the 71 of Peltier Sharp. You know she is kicking herself for that mistake, but will it tilt her out? Will we see another mistake from her on this final lap of stage number 2? Well, time will tell as we continue to watch that top 5 start to run away from the rest of the field. Dustin Hall has a huge gap over Dean Clavette, Josh Gaiman, Willie Sharp, and now Ruby Nekomata in the top 5 as well. And behind them, no other major changes. So now it's a matter of who's going to make the mistake next, who's going to have an unforced error that could cause them to lose 1, 2, maybe even 3 spots.
Mistakes can get in your own head. Best drivers can get back on that horse. Minimize those mistakes. We saw last time by, Sharp was behind Gaiman trying to make a move into that bus stop. It worked out, and considering they called the caution alert early, this could be a spot here. Sharp not going to take any prisoners, thinking about making a move, will think better of it, will go back in line, maybe hoping the 33 makes a mistake, but 33 looking smooth as ever for that bus stop. 71 though, a little smoother, as she will be on the tail. But considering they threw the caution once Hall got out of the bus stop, there may not be enough time for Sharp really to get a run here, as they probably won't get to the bus stop before the caution calls.
Caution is officially out. The stage is over. Dustin Hall is your winner. Dean Clavette 2nd. Willie Peltier Sharp and Josh Gaiman had a move between each other, but I'm not sure which one of them ended up in position number 3. Once again, the 71 overcooked that last chicane out there, so I believe she is going to end the stage in position number 4.
Yep, Gaiman will get third here. Sharp obviously a little bit pedoed on the radio, obviously with the late call there. But that is the rules. They did it for the first stage and the second stage indeed. So looking at the unofficial results for stage number 2, probably not official, we'll just say it. Dustin Hall gets the win in the 10 points. Clavitt in second, Gaiman in third, Sharp fourth, Nekomata fifth, Braille sixth, good drive by him. Roberg seventh, Wygant eighth, Flores ninth, Byron Jones rounds out the top 10 with Frazier and Clavelli both missing out on stage points. But overall, good run for a lot of drivers here. Clavitt very happy with a P2 in the stages here, and that's going to definitely help out his point tally. But Dustin Hall wins the stage, gets those 10 juicy stage points, and right now, unofficially, is presumably at least in the top 16 or knocking on the door in the top 16. We can't count out Ruby Nekomata as we flash to her. She was the dominating car in stage number 1, and now going to try to take this new lease on life to try to get back to that lead in the final stage.
Definitely a lot of storylines in play right now as we take the final, what should be the final caution flag of the evening out here. When they go back to green flag racing, it'll be about 20-ish laps remaining here on the field, and it's still anybody's race to win. Dustin Hall still up there, Joshua Gaiman's in the mix, Lee Peltier, Sharp, Ruby Nekomata, and of course Josh Susi in the 81. He came in first. He came in before everybody else did, so he has the biggest advantage because he is set to restart in position number 1.
This is where it gets a bit interesting. We obviously talked about the fuel concerns, 13 to 15 laps. Presumably when most of the field coming in here this time by, obviously the cars that came in before the stage ended, like Trout and Sosi, they would like to stay out. But considering the fact it's a 13 to 15 lap fuel tank, and we'll probably hit the green flag to go on lap 22 to 21, depending on how they throw it. That's going to give you about to a lap 9 to 7 for the cars that are going to come in this time by, and for the cars to stay out a little bit longer. But there is that concern for maybe Sosi, maybe Trout, that came in just a bit earlier than maybe possible. They may have to save just a tiny bit to ensure they can comfortably get in that 13 to 15 window without coughing up too much time. So for those cars that came in the second stage, they should be good on fuel, shouldn't have many concerns, if any concerns, but there's still that just possibility they have to stretch this tank a little longer than they probably want to comfortably get to home for their final pit stops in the final stage.
And that's going to be very interesting to see. When are they going to take that final pit stop? They have 15 laps. Are they going to try to run it dry when they have to come down for that final pit stop? Or are they going to try to come in a little bit early and try to work this race backwards? Considering there are no yellow flags, it really comes down to what strategy are you most comfortable with, and how do you feel about being able to run your chances about being able to run the car to do what you want by the end of the race. Pit road's about to get real busy as the 12 leads everybody down pit road to the attention of their crews. Look for tires and fuel on this stop.
Yep, we'll see. A few cars obviously will roll the dice here. Wouldn't be shocked if Gaiman elects to maybe go fuel only again or 2. It's going to be risky. Fortune favors the bold. Few cars staying out. Sosi, Trout, Swadsworth, and Zier all electing that came in before the stage caution. They will all gain spots here as well. But winning the race off pit lane, Dustin Hall, fuel only, Sharp, Roberg, Clavitt, and Wygant taking fuel only. Then Gaiman with 4 tires, so he bucks the trend. With Nekomata as well, both going for tires here, presumably fuel only on the final stop to get that little extra rubber. So for the cars that didn't take tires, you're not taking tires on the final stop anyway, so they feel comfortable with the life they have and the heats they have in those tires, while Gaiman, Nekomata, and the others that took 4 want to roll the dice and have cold tires on the restart, but have that opportunity to have that little extra life and be able to pounce a little bit harder with those fresh tires. So it's a risk-reward situation. We'll see it plays out, but Sosi promoted back to the lead.
It's taking tires or not to take tires is a gamble. It's a shorter race, so you don't have to take tires, and the warmer tires do give you a little bit of advantage out there, but having new tires gives you that extra grip, especially once they warm up, and gives you a little bit of extra giddy up when it counts. So it's very interesting to see who's going to take it, who's not, and who's ultimately going to see if that gamble works out for them. But you're right, you're not going to take tires at this point. You either have what you have, or you have new tires, and that's it. You're not going to stop. You're not going to take any additional tires. You're just going to go with what you have and hope that it was the correct decision.
Mm-hmm. It's just
gambling. This is what road courses can be on NASCARs. It's about strategy, just rolling the dice sometimes, but you got to be confident with it. You can't be half and half. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to do this strategy and then blitz off it. Now, obviously, sometimes that change is a good thing, but this late, you kind of just have to make the bet you lied in, and you have to be firm in your decisions, even if it may end up being the wrong one.
Well, even if it's the wrong one, there's nothing you can do at this point about it. You just got to roll with it and make the most you can with that car. The good news is, if you're up front, you're up front. And if you've got the run, you've got the run. You know, all you got to do is get a little bit of time in front of you and run your race successfully in order to do well on this track. Now, I think what's really going to be the differentiator here is that last round of pit stops. Who comes down when? How do they come down? And do you have any unforced errors as a result of that? All it takes is one error, and next thing you know, you're going for a ride, and that opens the door for a lot of people to get around you, even if you had a perfect pit stop and perfect strategy.
Yeah, and in turn, even though it's unlike we'll see more speeding penalties, more penalties on pit lane entry and exit at Daytona Oval than it will be road course because it's just the bus stop and the slow speeds, there's still that chance. Like you said, we saw Hall, we've seen other drivers lock it up, overshoot a bit, and that 1-2 second time loss could be game over and an insensible gap to try to make lunch back here. So we should see the lights on the pace car go out next time by here. So lights will go out once the pace car crosses the line. This time by will be going back green with 21 laps to go. And when they do get bunched up, it'll be Sosi Trout row 1, Swatsworth Hall row 2, Sharp Zier row 3, Rober Clavitt row 4, Wygant Jones your first 5 rows.
So let's go back to the beginning of the race, Kevin. Are you still feeling confident about your picks, or do you want to hit the cash out button?
No, I'm going to roll the dice. I have had good luck so far in the HTL predicting things. I'm going to keep that roll going with looking at my drivers again. Hall currently sitting in 4th. You got Nekamata and Game both with fresh tires just outside the top 10. I'm staying with them to the end. They don't get to be my drivers of honor without showing at least a little bit of pedigree around these tracks.
I'll give you credit for that. When you pick a driver, you stick with them from start to finish, and you've got a pretty good record of picking winners around these tracks. As for me, looks like my bet's finally starting to come out, as Susie, Sharp, and Zier will all restart within the top 10, so there's hope for my gambling addiction yet.
Only thing I do worry about is with Zier. We saw that damage early. That car may not be 100%. We'll see again with the little damage she has. Obviously, she's still driving competitively well. So it may not be curtains, obviously, for that 50, but you know that thing is not at least 100%. But if it's still at least 95 to 99, that is still going to be very competitive. Because it just takes Zier with maybe even 95% car to still be having a chance at victory, no matter what the track is.
One last very long pace lap for these drivers. A lot of time to think about what's going to happen here and what could possibly go wrong as they get ready to go back to green flag racing. Now on to into turns 1 and 2, what we'd normally call turns 1 and 2 here at Daytona International Speedway. This race has been a lot of fun. It's been very challenging, and what I love about the Daytona road course is it's so much different from courses like Watkins Glen or Sonoma, where where you have to fight for more control over the car in a narrow track. This is a track where you have a lot more opportunity, you have a lot wider turns, and you don't necessarily have to combat the car as much. I think it's a perfect combination of road and oval course.
Yeah, it's a good combination. It's seen what you would see usually at a current day F1 circuit, where you kind of get those high speeds and those slipstream and DRS kind of straights, along with good technical corners for the driver to struggle and get around on a good level. Looking at the longest win droughts, we bring this up every week. Obviously, Henderson, not too thrilled we bring it up every week. That drought will at least continue for another week. Matthew Boone, 51, Gibney, 45, Spotswood, 42. Really only driver that is currently out of position, really break that, you could say, is Dean Clavitt. Actually, Spotswood currently sitting in 3rd, Clavitt obviously in currently 8th, so both drivers in the best shot to try to get that winless drought and push forward. But both drivers, at the very least, maybe have a long winless drought, but they're both at the moment in the playoffs, so for some, that's a good trade-off.
It's a trade-off that's necessary, absolutely, but again, we're still going to have about 21 laps to go when we get back to green flag racing, so don't call it a trade-off yet. Don't call it a big victory just yet this time. We still got plenty of racing left to happen here, and I've got a feeling things are going to pick up before we call the checkered flag here on the track. Remember, there should be no green, white, checkered overtime finishes unless something catastrophic happens at the very end. We're all crossing our fingers for not, but we'll have to see all the answers will be revealed in about 21 laps, plus or minus. Pace car will make the hard left turn down pit road, this time by the field in command of Josh Susie as they get ready to take the green flag. Green flag back in the air, this time by, and for the last time, we're racing at Daytona International Speedway.
The driver's about to enter the oval. We saw a lot of chaos around that situation right there. Two cars locking up. We even saw the 71 machine mow the grass, trying to hang on to a move around DJ Trout. Sharp currently sitting in second. Selena Thompson looked like she had another loop again in the same spot she did in stage 2. She is now stationary in that spot. And the car is going around right now. Riding aboard with Rudy Nekamata, there is Selena Thompson right now, as you see her getting going again. Again, being the cut driver, that is not good for a chance, especially now with no bailout of the final stage. So, getting a distance, but Sharp trying to reel in, and these two teams have had some history, and Sharp trying to maybe rectify some wrongs here and try to be, again, what not many drivers can say, winning on back-to-back nights in 2 different series.
It would be an absolute achievement if he were able to pull that off. But he's got a lot of drivers behind him, hungry, who want to take away this race and want to walk away with a big finish. Among them, Lily Peltier Sharp now in second, who's looking for third. Or looking for first, DJ Trout, Mark Roberg, and of course the 12 of Dustin Hall, all capable of winning this race. You can't win it on lap number 25. You have to go all the way to 44, which is why I think he's got some drivers who are being competitive. Now Peltier Sharp takes advantage of a rare mistake by Josh Susie going into the S-turns, and Lily Peltier Sharp will take the lead for the first time tonight.
You are not wrong. You do not see drivers of Sosie's caliber make the mistakes often. You take the opportunity and you run with it. If you're Sharp right now, you keep the foot down and try to pull. Sosie, though, will not go away quietly, though. You know that mistake is not really going to sit in the back of his mind per se to a point where he's going to be willing to make another one, but that's going to be fuel on the fire to make him a little extra stronger. Speaking of, there you can see the playoff cut right now. Sharp, 4 points back. Obviously, she's accumulated a lot of stage points, so right now, obviously, they're not officially updated, so she could be higher or lower depending on the other drivers where they finished, but she would not have to worry about playoff math if she wins here tonight and would bump everyone down one. So Thompson would, at the moment, be in the divisional bubble if before we came to tonight's festivities, she would be out, or whoever is that 16th driver at the moment would be out and would shake up the whole field, including Austin Mongol, who was above that line by 11. He's had a horrible night. This could easily make things a lot more tricky for drivers going next week Daytona. Instead of maybe coasting, they're going to have to be on the throttle to try to ensure they stay in the top 16.
No, you're absolutely right. Right now, it would be Selena Thompson who would get bumped out if Sharp were to win tonight's race. But we still got one more pit stop left to go. We still got to figure out where they're going to stop and how they're going to make that stop in order to get to the rest of the field. So Sharp is not your winner just yet. She still has to figure out where she wants to stop and how she wants to do it. But she definitely has the potential to go 2 for 2 this week in 2 nationally televised series. Josh Susie has fallen off the pace just a little bit that time around. There was almost a second gap between Sharp and Susie in going into turns 1 and 2 where he lost that lead last time around. Not going to make it up, pick it up this time. But now Susie has to worry about 2 other drivers behind him. DJ Trout, the 93, and Dustin Hall, who's been able to dispatch Martin Roberg down to position number 4.
Yeah, and this brings up another point I want to bring up. Look at that top 5. We talked about before the pre-race. Cars in yellow obviously already locked in to the chase by winning or other means. Cars in blue have not yet made it into the playoffs, whether being above the top 16 or below it, but still in the hunt to take home a playoff spot. And looking at Sharp, we talked about her, currently sitting 17th in the standings. DJ Trout was 24th coming in tonight. Dustin Hall, 21st. Martin Roberg, not 100% where he is, but I know he's below the top 16 somewhere in spots, but Sharp gonna go wide. That's a mistake by her, but Sosi not gonna be able to capitalize. Sharp will hang on, but to finish my point, looking at that top 5, all those in that top 5 for the one driver that is not locked in, the other 4 outside the top 16 would move that cut line up one if either of those in the top 5 could find victory lane.
LTA Sharp able to recover from that mistake coming out of the infield, but you know that's going to be weighing on her. That's her second major error on this field, and if she wants to win this race, she cannot afford another one of those, as Josh Susie will absolutely take advantage of it. The gap now closing between Susie and Sharp. When we were at the start-finish line last time, it was about a second. Now it's closed by 0.2 of a second, down to about 0.8 plus or minus, and I've got the feeling that gap will close a little bit as they go through the Cup chicane one more time to finish scoring lap number 26. Still plenty of racing on the field as Susie now starting to get a run on Sharp.
Very unorthodox line we saw Sharp take there. Maybe cost her just a 10th or 2, but she didn't do enough to really hurt her. But you got to make sure you keep your P's and Q's in lines. But look at that run Sosi got out of 1 here. He has closed out that gap tremendously. But that has been the corner where he's been the most aggressive. Very just willing to go as hard as he needs to get that spot. And look at that last lap speed, for instance. He ran his fastest lap of the race as he is now hounding the back of the 71. He went, just for records, 110. You can see right there was a 111. So overall, actually 139. So fastest overall that time by was Sosi by at least a couple mph.
There's quite a bit of rivalry going on between these two drivers. Obviously, there's a Stepping Stone Lady Liberty rivalry that's happening. There's a rivalry between Sharp and the rest of that team that's happening right now. And I guarantee you, both of these drivers are feeling the pressure as 81 gets to the back bumper of the 71. Does not make contact, but I think the 81 has made its point clear. I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, and I want my spot back.
Yeah, and meanwhile for Sharp, obviously right now making comfortably home where she currently is with the team she's at. But you never know, things are not secure. You find that victory, you say next season, hey, I got this win. I made the playoffs. What can you say about the other drivers in the free agent market? So it gives you that opportunity and gives you that momentum to say for a team that, hey, I should bring you in because you showed me consistency and you showed me that you could be clutch when it mattered the most. So Sharp driving at least for better job security, or at the very least maybe even promotion to another team if she so chooses, but at the very least in the short term, confirms she will compete for the playoffs in about a couple weeks' time. But Sosi not going to make it easy for her. Sharp still holding with her iron shin, this time by 17 laps to go. And one more thing to note, Sosi pitted last on 18, knowing ranges and numbers. We're going to see that come in maybe in about 13, 15 laps from when he last came in. Looking at the lap total, that would be shortly in next 3 to 5 laps. We see Sosi make a move, but Sosi side by side for the lead here. Sharp going to put the pinch and force Sosi back, but Sosi flexing his hand, flexing his muscle. I am here. I'm going to come through shortly.
Through the first carousel turn they go. Advantage Susie. Susie's got the run, but Melky Sharp not going to give it away just yet. Down the stretch they go before they get to the second carousel turn. Side by side through the dog leg. Now into carousel turn number 2. They both go in, but only one can come out in front, and that will be Susie as Peltier Sharp yields the lead. And honestly, I don't hate that move because now you've got Susie in front of you who's going to be setting the pace for pit stops. You can go in when he has to go in and don't have to guess when he's going to come down pit road.
But at the very least, knowing Sharp pitted, she would go longer regardless just because she'd want to and possibly get the overcut to work here. But now following, it also helps in turn. She seems to be a little bit better of a car that likes riding behind. seeing brake lines, seeing she's a little bit better a follower than a leader, but she knows when to lead when the going gets tough. So maybe playing a bit of possum here. Aggressive on the brakes though. She wants it back, and you can see those as those rotors light up even more here as the sun is setting. Sosi holding his nerve right now, trying to make it 2 for 3 for Lady Liberty at the road courses, but Sharp not going to go away. She got a great exit. She's going to try to make a move through the bus stop.
Do not go quiet into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light. That is exactly what Susie and Peltier Sharp are doing as the sun sets over Daytona International Speedway. But right behind them, another battle is brewing. Dustin Hall, DJ Trout. Hall took away the position from Trout to get into number P3, and now DJ Trout wants his spot back as they're going to go do battle into the S turns, coming off turns 1 and 2. Dustin Hall has the advantage, but DJ Trout's hounding him, and he wants to try to get in front, get back his position as fast as he can.
I think Trout may have over-pushed it through those first couple corners there. That's going to fall back a bit, and that's going to put Hall with a little bit more distance. But at the same point, fighting may not be the smartest choice here. You know those top two are going to continue to scrap. It's best maybe to say bygones be bygones here and try to reel in that top two. Then we can fight. But Sharp just locked it up a little bit here. That's going to cost some time, or at the very least, flat spot a tire that could hurt her for the rest of this run here. Maybe forcing her to take 2 tires if that tire work gets worse. One more thing to note as well, we see them enter the oval as well. Someone in the chat asking if Lilac was locked in. She is mathematically on points, but obviously not by wins. So obviously it's not updated on the graphic, but she's pretty much through. As you'll see here, 128 points. Max you get is 120 through 2 weekends. So she is through regardless, just not updated on the little ticker.
So yes, Lilac Zero is mathematically locked in, and we're not going to have, we have 2 races left. We're not going to have 10 more winners on this field, so go ahead and count her in. She will be competing for the championship in 3 weeks time as we go to Daytona. We go back to the Daytona Oval next week, followed by the All-Star race and the opening of the playoffs in 3 weeks time when we go racing from Darlington Raceway for the Southern 500. But first, we've got some business to settle here as Susie and Sharp still fight nose to tail for position number 1.
Yeah, quickly add to that point one more time. Swats were sassy. Probably could throw in that Camp 2 at the end of tonight's festivities. But we'll do math later. We're focusing on all the action. We know Sosi is likely to pit within a couple laps here. The question is, if you're Sharp, do you follow her in? Is Sharp going to get a good run? Sosi with a slight mistake there through corner 1 again. It seems to be the advantage for the car that follows here between these two. So right now, Sharp going to be on the outside. How aggressive will she push here to get around, knowing the following car seems to have the better advantage? More importantly, these two working in tandem have put at least a second on Hall and Trout, making this look like it'll be a race between the two of them.
To answer your question, if I'm Peltier Sharp right now, I'm just trailing the 81 of Susie. I'm watching him and watching every move he does. I do not need to pass him right this second, because the biggest thing I want to know is, when is he going to come down pit road? When is he going to get his fuel? Because that's when I want to go down and get my fuel. Ultimately, everyone's going to have to cycle through. If we cycle through first, then we're going to have the advantage for the lead, and we can do business with each other and settle this once and for all.
Yep. One car, they are going to catch a lap down the sheet here, possibly in a couple laps time. It's going to be 96 of Carmen Sienna. This track being so big, that's the only car they should catch. Sienna presumably being at least on the lead lap, but currently obviously way adrift. She may just end up just pulling out of the way here, not to impede this battle. She has no allegiances to either car, and look at that run that 71 got through the bus stop there. Great run, going to be hounding the back of the 81. Meanwhile, Trout, great move to the bus stop. He has gotten around for third on Hall.
So Sharp, Susie Sharp, no changes there. Meanwhile, DJ Trout finally gets his position back, takes it away from Dustin Hall, who gets moved down to position number 4. Martin Roberg still in position number 5. Lilac Zero has still held on Sharp after a tough beginning to go in to hold on to position number 6. Joshua Gaiman in 7th, and Ruby Nakamata, having a really hard time of it, is right now battling for position number 10 as she gets sideways. She gets knocked around at the Cup, it's the Confetti gets knocked around at the Cup chicane. And now we have a battle for the lead.
Look at Sienna. You can see right there. I said it could play a factor here, and she caught them in a bad spot for Sosi and Sharp. She doesn't want to be too much of a pick. Obviously, if a caution come out, she should be the lucky dog now. They both will get around, but that backed up Sosi a good amount there. As it just was a tough spot for them to catch traffic. Sharp still not fully clear yet, as she's still trying to get around that 96, and no love loss here. 96 not going to concede. She is going to stay there on that 71's bumper, not making really any friends. I don't think the chairwoman of APN cares all that much. She just wants to get a good finish for her team and for herself. That's going to give Sosi at least some breathing room here. Now up to 8/10. So now, no longer nose to tail. We'll see what we can do. Going back a little bit first now to see what Joe was talking about with Nekomata.
Let's go back here. You see the number 1 just get on the curb and get the 93 of Dean Clavette. And that's going to send Clavette back at least 3 spots. But Ruby Nekomata, your pole sitter, has definitely dropped off quite a bit since leading the first 10 laps of this race. Currently sitting in 10th. As we go back to the lead, 2 drivers who still want it. Susie, Lily Peltier Sharp. They've gotten a huge gap now on DJ Trout, Dustin Hall, and Martin Roberg, who started to challenge Hall.
Yeah, Roberg making inroads, trying to do something here. Curly in 5th has caught Hall. Hall's been struggling a little bit here on the long run. As you can see, Roberg running the Brian Priest helmet there. You usually don't see that often, as he is reeling in the battle in question here, the Hall and Trout. Sosi still has not yet the pit. Gap is now up to about a second, but DJ Trout is in. He'll be the first of the top 5 to pit. He is going for the undercut. He will be flanked by Lilac Zier. So Trout and Zier in. They will be the first to blink here and try to go for that undercut. Question is, who will Sosi, Sharp, or Hall, even though Hall was behind, try to cut that off?
Wadsworth will also come down pit road this time by, so 3 of your current lap leaders coming down pit road to the attention of their crews. And you're right, they want that undercut. They want to see if they can beat everybody out of pit road and make that run work for them. I'm curious to see what exactly happens as well, because again, Susie, Sharp, and others will all have to come down pit road, and it may not cycle out in their favor, considering just how long and how big this track really is.
Yeah, looking at the drivers that pitted there, Trout took 2 tires, going to try to go different what he did at Suzuki East. Went 4, now going to take 2. As for the other runners, most of the Lilacs here, she took 4 tires, and it looks like Swatsworth also took 4 tires. So Trout being the only car taking 2, and that could be some insider info if Sosi, Sharp, or Hall are listening in. As you can see on the lap times right now, Sharp really losing time here on the long run. It may be pit stop time, and if those times are being affected by the tires, she may be forced to take 4 here just to try to get that speed. And in turn, if Sosi takes no tires, 2 tires, that could be a very insurmountable gap to make up. And we know one thing, if they both take 4, Trout's going to cycle towards the front as he took 2.
So back up front, eyes are on Josh Susie this time by as he comes through turns 3 and 4 into the Cup chicane. Once he crosses the Cup chicane, will he come down pit road? Here he comes into the Cup chicane, able to clear it perfectly. Comes off, and is he going to come in this time by? No, he will not. He's not going to come in. Lily Peltier Sharp will not come in. What about Dustin Hall, the 12 machine? The 12 machine will elect to stay out a little bit longer, as well as do Gaiman, as do Martin Roberg. Ruby Nekomata stays out. So now everybody playing a very big game of chicken. Do you think that undercut could ultimately hurt them?
I don't hate the call per se. We see another car coming in, Byron Jones. But right now it comes at the time you're putting down. Sosi still running similar times to his best lap. Meanwhile, Sharp struggling at the moment. I think if you're Pelletier Sharp, you kind of have to maybe concede here and come in. But if you're running similar times to your best, I think you could run the tank till it runs it dry. But for Sharp, Hall, Gaiman, they're all running times that are slower than their best by at least a second or so it could be a call that could benefit out. But with Sosi still running personal best or near personal best, I don't think he has to pit yet. I think he said, hey, if I'm still consistently fast, why come in?
That is a good point. Plus, the longer they stay out, the more time effectively they get on those drivers who are trying to undercut in. So it's a very interesting call. It's a very entertaining call on many levels. But like I said, I'm very curious about when that actually call is going to happen, because now you have to worry about getting back up to speed and not having those drivers pass you when you're trying to come off pit road. Into the Le Mans chicane once again. Susie, Sharp, Hall, Gaiman, Roberg, your top 5. No big changes there. as they continue to run. We're running on lap 30, scoring lap 33 of 44, 12 laps to go at this juncture, and it's still anybody's race.
Yeah, it is still anyone's race here. Pit stop strategy could be the name of the game. Keep an eye on the pit lane this time by. Sosie's open up to 1.5. Again, if you're Sharp, Hall, Gaiman, I think you got to come in this time by. Sosie will stay out. No, he is coming in. Sharp going to follow suit here. Follow the leader. Both will be in. Next up will the next top three go in. Hall, Gaiman, Robert, keep an eye on your screens. Hall staying out. Gaiman in, Roberg in. So Hall will inherit the lead with 11 to go. Now the question is, for these cars pitting, we saw 2 tires for Hall. Looks like it's going to be 2. Actually, Sharp's not in her box yet. We'll see what she does. But Hall, Sharp, so see that, trying to see 2 tires and 4 tires.
I believe it was fuel only. Yes, it was fuel only for Lily Sharp. As she now comes out of her box, she will be led by Joshua Susie, who I believe also was a fuel-only stop out there. So no changes for either one of those drivers. They're going to get back on the track without any changes. So now they're stuck to their strategy. It's all about what you have underneath and how you can make that work for you.
Things, I don't know if I like that call in Sharp's case. Maybe 2 tires. Obviously, she would have lost more time instead of being a second back on Sosie. The question is, was it overheat or was it wear that was affecting her in that regard? Because if it was overheating, you got a little bit of a reprieve here. You can cool the tires down. But if that was wear on the tires, right now she's hounding back to 81, so maybe she's proven my point wrong here. But you got to keep that in mind. If that tire wear was horrible and you were losing time hand over fist because of it, you got to make sure you get something done here. But one thing, Sharp won a race by taking 2 tires last night at Bristol and dealt with 125 laps of wear on one right side set. So she knows how to make worn tires work. So I don't think we can counter out, but we'll see how the times fluctuate for these last 11 laps.
See, I don't think it was wear. I think Lily Peltier Sharp's biggest enemy is Lily Peltier Sharp. I think that's who she's fighting each week in and out of the track. And I think that's the biggest, that's her biggest challenge, is being able to get out of her own head and do what she does best, which is quality racing on the track. I think if she can just get out of her head, clear her mind, and continue to run strong, she has a very good shot of winning this race. Back up front, no changes to the lead. Dustin Hall stays out. Ruby Nakamata stays out this time as well. Pacey Wygant in front of Susie and Sharp, and Pacey Wygant will elect to stay out as well. A lot of these drivers look like they're going to go checkers or wreckers, as Elias Flores, the next one to come down pit road.
Funny thing is, Wygant could be a girl's best friend right now, as he is battling for position with both Sosie and Sharp, and that's allowing Sosie and Sharp kind of be stuck behind here. Hey, that's going to hurt time with Hall and Nakamata if they decide to pit in and couldn't give a bigger gap there. But you saw right there, that little stop, you can see Sosie get on the horn there saying, you got to move or I'm going to move you, and Sharp going to go wrong way around here. She will make a 2-for-1 special move. She's to the point and possibly to the provincial lead. It's Wygant, Sosie still side by side. Sosie can't get clear of Wygant. He's going to have to force the issue into the next corner, and he's going to get himself hooked for it. He is around in the grass. Wygant still keeping it going, and tempers are going to flare between that 81 and that 17.
Oh, there are definitely going to be some repercussions as a result of that. Susie collects himself on the access road, gets back on the field, but not without losing at least 4 spots out there. Let's take another look at what happened right there. You see the 17 of Wygant get caught up with the 81. Let's actually go back before they exiting the S's. The 17 trying to throw the block on the 81, and here comes the 71 on the outside. The 81 gives the 17 a shove. They go 3 wide through the first carousel turn, and that's going to be Peltier Sharp getting the lead. 81 and 17 still doing a little bit of business out there. And I think the 81 now just frustrated that he let the lead get away. And I don't think that was the 17's fault. I think the 81 did not clear, get out of frustration, and that's going to send him into that grass and ultimately onto the access road. So I think the 81 has no one to blame but himself for that incident.
You can't, because, again, Wygant had a right to battle for that spot. That was for position. He did not have to concede or yield to anything. He's fighting his own race. And you can see the frustration. 2 cars trying to make a move. Sosie just got stuck in a bad block there. And at the same point, you now see Dustin Hall pitting along with Wygant and a few others. He's probably wondering why Wygant didn't come 1 lap earlier. But to finish my point, you saw again, Sosi just tried to box out that double zero. Was just telling him, you got to move and just get out of the way. And the 17 was not going to yield, and then ended up 81 hooking himself. So Sosi, again, no one to blame. Now 5 seconds adrift. It's going to be sharp. Smooth sailing at the moment. Nekomata also in, but look at that gap. 5.8 Sosi, and 10 seconds back is Dustin Hall, who just left his box.
Dustin Hall coming off of pit road. DJ Trout, I believe, will be in front of him when we go back to Green Flag Racing. Joshua Gaiman in that train as well. Ruby Nekomata, Vi Blowers, Martin Robert, all in the mix right now as well. We'll see how they cycle out once we get back to Green Flag Racing. But the big winner out of all of that, Lily Peltier Sharp, still has a big chance to win tonight and lock herself into the playoffs, be the second stepping stone driver to lock in to the 2024 playoffs here at Daytona International Speedway. Road courses have been a strong suit for her. Is she finally going to get her revenge, finish her revenge tour, and walk away with a win?
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all plays, but this gave her major breathing room. Unlike having what was going to be probably 10 laps of fighting with Sosi, it ended up opening up a gap here, but now you know Sosi is going to try to fly that car back to her, so she has to keep the nerve, has to keep the spot, and not end up making major mistakes. A little bit further back, battle between Gaiman and Hall, 4th and 5th respectively. Gaiman just got clear of that 12 machine, but you can see right now, Hall, again, knowing the stakes, wants to get as many points as he can to give himself a comfortable distance or a comfortable cushion going next week into the high banks of Daytona, where any driver in the top 30 could maybe find out the slot machine going up 7s and lock away into the playoffs. So trying to minimize the good damage or gain of cushion is right now in Dustin Hall's eye up.
At the start line, Lily Peltier Sharp will officially take back first place with just under 10 laps to go. I believe 8 laps, if my math is correct this time. 8 laps between her and victory lane. Last time around, Joshua Susie had a 5.5 second lead over the 81 machine, and then all those drivers who came down pit road. DJ Trout sitting in third. Gaiman gets around Dustin Hall for position number 4, and Ruby Nekomata trying to salvage what was supposed to be her win, now in position number 6.
Want to add one more point. 8 tenths lost that lap by Peltier Sharp. At that rate, Sosi will catch. So she needs it. Maybe she's playing a bit of possum. Maybe she's saving the tires, not overheating them, but she can't call this a win yet. She needs to make sure she holds gap. Here, Hall, Gaiman, Nekomata all battling. Obviously, Nekomata just fighting for the honor of racing. Hall and Gaiman obviously fighting for points and more stuff as well. But Nekomata trying to carve way for the field. The stage 1 winner trying to at least rebound here. Maybe if we find a miracle caution in the weeds, she could put herself in a spot to try to take a win here and get a second one in her HTL career.
There are 2 things I think that Peltier Sharp needs to do for herself right now. Number 1, she needs to focus. She needs to breathe and focus on running the best laps she can. On that last lap, she lost time because she wiggled it out of the chicane. She did not have a clean chicane, and that cost her quite a bit of time. So right now, if you're Sharp, if I'm a crew chief, I'm telling her, slow down, breathe, focus on running laps. If she can get out of her own way, she can get success tonight and lock herself into the playoffs. Number 2, I'm telling her, don't worry, yes, conserve, but don't make it your biggest concern. You don't have that much time left. We're running into single digits at this point. All you have to do is run your race to win it all.
Looking at that time by, we'll check the laps. She ran a 1:55.08. Sosi a 1:55.82. So maybe taking your message to heart here. She's opened it up again. Sosi will have to try to carve it down. So again, you said it all tonight, Joe. I agree with the point. Right now, Sharp's main enemy will be herself. She's got a few lap cars, though, she can't catch. 91 of Mongol, 22 of Donaldson, and a little conga line. If that's everyone can reel it down, but that's why you have that gap you can work with, especially with 2 to go, 1 to go. It's kind of like an enduro race. You can give up time. You do not need to set blistering lap on lap if you don't want to try to force a move on a lap car and possibly make things go up red. A little bit further back, you can see Nekomata currently sitting in 4th, Gaiman now, 5th, Gaiman in 6th, as they are trying to battle on here, raging war for a top 5 spot.
Joshua Gamon's already locked in, so he doesn't need to worry about a top 10 at this point. He doesn't need to worry about top 5 at this point. At this point, it would just be for pride and maybe a few extra points when everything settles out in 2 weeks' time. Ruby Nakamata, she's running for pride. She wants a win. She has not had a win this season in HTL in the 3 road courses that they've run for Lady Liberty Motorsports. So Ruby Nakamata looking for everything she can to try to get her adopted team a win. Dustin Hall running strong, trying to do well out here. DJ Trout doing the same. Neither one of those drivers are locked into the playoffs, so they're both trying to get as many points as they can to try to set themselves up before the big question mark next week when we go back to the Oval at Daytona International Speedway. Meanwhile, up front, it'll be 6 to go when Lily Peltier-Sharp crosses the start-finish line again, having a little bit of a wiggle out of the Cup chicane. That's going to open the door a little bit for Josh Susie.
Yeah, again, we saw her make that mistake just going into the oval section. Well, I saw it. The broadcast brought that up. And that's going to be time lost again. Take a look here at something here as we're going to go through the oval section here. This is going to be the mistake we were talking about here as we're going to see it on replay, the time she's going to lose here. And she's going to come through the last corner, come in hard, and then it's just going to start just getting a little kicky there. And we saw Zier shoot into the wall like that. We saw Sasek as well hit that outside wall and damage their cars. So you gotta be careful and not overcook. Those sausage curves can throw you for a loop if you're not careful. But right now, again, with Mongold kind of pleasing spots, getting out of the way, one car out of the way, but now she's got the 22 and the 3 just up the road. Well, they play just as nice as the Mongold 91 did.
Well, number one, I'm pretty sure she guaranteed him a Dr. Pepper if he got out of the way. So, there's a little bit of bribery there. You got to give her that. And then number two, the more lap cars she passed, the harder it's going to be for Josh Susie to catch up and get around. Yes, you can kind of use her draft to catch up to her, but those lap cars, they also work like rolling chicanes. You have to work your way around them just as much as you do any other chicane. And the problem is because they're rolling, you don't know when you're going to run into them. You could run into them in one of the chicanes, you could run into them in the infield, and then you've got to navigate that as well. So the more cars that Sharp puts between her and Josh Susie, the better her odds are of winning. At the start-finish line, it'll be 5 to go, and all she has to do is run clean for the next 5 laps in order to take away her first win this season.
I'm hearing on the radio right now, she's just saying thank you for every car that gets out of the way, playing nice. This is why it's all sport not to make enemies in a series, a long-running series. You make enemies, cars aren't going to want to concede. They're not going to want to get out of the way and make your life easier. So overall, Sharp keeping friends, trying to get as many friends as she can, just playing nice, not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. She's got the 3 next up the road, then the 2, then the 27. Oh, but she just blew the first corner there. She had a 6-second interval gap. We're going to see that fall like a tree. 6 all the way down to 4.5. Just by one mistake, now possibly even 4, and that may have been just a drop of red blood to the Shark Associate sitting in second.
Associate saw the blood in the water. That's going to give him 2 seconds of time that he didn't have. Now she absolutely needs the help of all the cars in front and behind her to hold off Susie. But if she ends up losing this race, if she ends up walking away from it, that's going to be the mistake that killed it right there. Lily Peltier-Sharp, again, she is her own worst enemy in this situation. She has to relax. As you see her almost get into the 3 there, she has to relax. She has to focus on running her race. She can't go reckless. She can't do what she can't afford a meltdown right now. She has to be smart and calculated if she wants to win this race. 4 seconds remains the gap between Sharp and Susie.
And the thing is, with these laps, they are long. They are staggering long, 2 minutes. But for her right now, what could be basically the equivalent of 10 minutes on track action, maybe a little under 10 minutes, it is going to feel like at least an hour, if not longer, just trying to keep that car under her. See Gibney get a little bit loose, but Gibney's now behind. One positive, long distance to the next car, which is number 2, Josh Arnold. It's at least 2 seconds or more. You can see right now, Garnison offering traffic, not going to impede Sosi. Sosi the sneaker on the low side. One car clean. There you see Gibney a bit slow. Gibney just going to try to pull off here, but he's going to hit the bus stop, and that's going to check up at least a little bit of Sosi, maybe cost him at least a tenth or 2, but now we'll get around Gibney. So Sosi having the clean track, no cars between that 81 and 71, as now we're on 4 laps to go, and there you see Josh Arnold entering stage left.
Sharp has to keep it clean. You cannot make any more mistakes at this point, as the gap remains about 4 to 5 seconds between them. Her fate is completely in her hands at this point. If she can keep it clean, she may have a shot. But Susie knows how to win at these road courses. He's done it before. He almost won at Suzuka East. Now he could do it again and solidify, give himself an even bigger advantage going into the playoffs in 2 weeks' time. It's all about what these two drivers do from this point out.
Yep, it is indeed. Next car here, you can see the two of Arnold and set the tone. You win this race here, as you can see, bad spot for the 71 to catch. The two going to go high, 71 will clear low here. Still side by side for the moment. There goes the 71, so now another car between the two. But to go back to the point, this racing and iRacing, real racing, whatever you want to say, is about momentum. Winning one race could change a season. We saw that in real life in 2011. Tony Stewart looked like he was not poised to win a championship, and he went into the chase, and he ended up winning the first couple rounds. Next thing you know, he's on the fast track to fight for a championship. Momentum is a tricky woman, but if you can claim her, you could make that springboard into a good playoff entry. Meanwhile, even in HTL lore, we saw the regular season champion last season, Caitlin Height. She had a flame out early on, and that because momentum tricked the other direction. So we'll have to see how it all plays. But right now, 5 seconds is the gap between Sharp and Sosi with 3 laps to go. Sosi would have to put heroic laps in or hope that 71 makes a mistake as Sharp enters the trial, taking 3 laps to go.
3 laps left in this race. Who wants it more? Who's going to take it away and fight for it more? That's what we'll find out here in just 3 laps. Sharp continues to run very clean into the S's. Josh Arnold, the car between those two. Susie needs to get around him if he wants to start clearing more time around the 71 of Sharp. DJ Trout remains in position number 3, Dustin Hall in 4, and now Josh Gaiman about 5 car lengths away from Dustin Hall. So the battle for the top 5 still could be on the table here. Let's not take anything away. Roberg in 6. It'll be by Blowers behind him, but not for position. Those drivers could have a chance of changing everything too if they continue to beat and bang as they have been.
Yeah, they bang hard. They keep fighting. Again, likely of a track blocker isn't going to be high and a caution isn't high, but I've seen stranger things happen. They end up making chaos in turn. It could easily make things a lot worse. And if it gets a recycle here, green, white check could still apply at road courses. And you do not want to see that happen, especially if you are Sharp. You want everyone to play nice behind you and no major catastrophes happen. But I do want to say one thing. It is quite fitting how this track is going to end at nighttime. And when we see the checkered flag for the final round of the playoff next week, it will also be a twilight experience. So this race will end under the night lights. And for the final race next week for the playoffs, it will end under the same twilight night sky.
So Lily Peltier Sharp about to take the popsicle sticks. 2 to go, and it's her race to lose as she's regained that gap over Sosi. It's climbed by a second this time around, so she's got everything she needs. She just needs to run clean for 2 more laps. Susie almost 6 seconds behind, 5.5 that time around. Trout in 3rd, Hall 4th, Gaiman your top 5, and Trout and Hall and Gaiman still trying to do position for position number 5 as well out there. We'll continue to follow along with Sharp, who just took those popsicle sticks in the air through the S's. She goes for the second to last time into carousel turn number 1. So far, so clean as Lily Peltier Sharp trying to race her way to her first win this season.
Just saw Zier get spin around the bus stop there. That's the chaos you do not want to see right now if you're your race leader. Everyone got it fired back up, though, so we obviously stay green. 1 car up the road, that is Selena Thompson. After that, smooth sailing. Question is, though, with that big gap, now 7 seconds, Sharp doesn't have to push to catch that 27. Right now, she could run maybe 2 seconds slower here on this last lap and some change, and she would comfortably still take the win by over 3 seconds. So she does not have to force the issue here. She can just press and just make sure no mistakes. But the problem is when drivers maybe kick it back a little bit intentionally or not, it can mess with your psyche. It can make you go slower or make you force errors that you do not want to force. So Sharp, this is going to be the toughest 1.5 laps she's going to face. all tonight trying to keep that thing pointed in the right direction.
Arguably, the toughest lap and a half she's going to face all season long, if not her entire career, as she's got an opportunity to take away a big win in the HTL Cup Series, and not a moment too soon.
Looks like Susie got a little loose there through the bus stop. He is pushing as hard as he can, but he has kept it clean. We'll take a quick look at what happened before Sharp takes the white flag, and you're going to see cutting through the bus stop here. It's just going to see as he goes to the corner here. Going to be off exit, lights on the brakes, gloating, and, well, that looks relatively okay. So, must have been just a bit slow.
Just a bit slow, but you cannot afford to lose that time in any way, shape, or form. White flag out. Next flag will end the race. Sharp goes to the infield for the last time through the S's. She's got over 7 seconds on Susie after that slow bus stop, the Le Mans chicane. Now she's going to go way slow through the first carousel turn. That was not planned. That's going to open the door just a little bit for Susie, but it may not open it enough.
Maybe that was maybe a tiny bit planned, just because, again, she was about to catch Thompson there, and she doesn't want to hit the back of her. You don't want to be behind a car. Let's say the car brake checks. You don't want to be in that spot. So maybe it's all right. Cough up a little time here. Give Thompson that little extra breathing room so you don't have any calamities just in case she loops it. Because we remember, back at Sonoma, lap car spun in front of Rudy Valentine and tore off the front clip of Valentine. Anything is possible with a couple more corners here. You want to give yourself the most reaction time you can have, especially when you're 7 seconds ahead of the second place car, Josh Masos.
So Lily Peltier Sharp around turns 1 and 2 for the last time. Down the backstretch, she still has 2 chicanes to clear if she wants to win this race, and maybe a couple even cars in front of her. Through the bus stop for the last time. Cuts it cleanly. Now to enter 3 and 4. One last chicane is between her and a big win that will solidify her spot in the HTL Cup Series playoffs. Through turns 3 and 4, no incidents. Passing the Sudoku sign, going into the Cup chicane. Clears it one side, gonna slow it way down to make sure she gets it. Clears both sides, and for the final time, the checkered flag flies, and Lily Peltier Sharp can call herself a winner on season number 5.
I love how jokingly she said on the radio, her VR headset has died. She knew it's been a long time coming to find this victory, and she has won it. She has clutched up when it matters the most. Even though she was presumably going to get enough points to jump into the top 16 anyway, she doesn't have to worry about Daytona next week. She has won, and she is showing why she has a clutch gene in her body, as she is, again, done what not many drivers have said, won on back-to-back nights in 2 crucial situations. She is your race winner, as she will see how long it takes her to burn it down here, as it's going to be a long pace lap there. But also, worth noting, even though she had a great job, if we talk to Sosi, she's going to probably say hat tip to her, but Wygett was definitely a bit of a helper there late on, not taking away anything from Sharp, though. Great drive. You got to put yourself in the spots to earn it, and she certainly did.
Definitely put herself in the spot to win this race. And you're right, it has been a long time coming for her after an up and down season where she was forced to sit out a race for aggressive driving, where she has been knocked around, lost the opportunity at Suzuka East because of aggressive driving. As I said before this race, her revenge tour was going to come up here, and it came up in a big way. She earned this race. She won this fair and square, and she should be very proud of herself for managing such a great race. And not to toot my own horn here, but at the beginning of the race, I believe I called that Lily Peltier Sharp would be one of the ones to watch to win. And, not to toot my own horn, but a toot.
I mean, I can't be wrong. Look at your top 2 right there, first and second. So, overall, hat tip to you, Joe. It looked like it was all going wrong, but at the end of the day, on election night, you ended up taking the victory there. So, congrats there on your prediction. But no, Sharp, to give her all her flowers, she drove a heck of a race there. She has nothing to be ashamed of that performance, and she is going to party like it's snow tomorrow, even though right now, where she is, it is probably at least the equivalency of 2, 3 in the morning. So it may be a bit subdued celebration, considering everyone's around her is probably sleeping, but it's still going to be a celebration when the sun rises in the morning.
It'll absolutely be a celebration, and it will be one that is well earned as she comes to the front stretch to burn them down. There she goes. There she goes, spinning the tires into the grass at Daytona International Speedway. Lily Peltier Sharp, the second driver from Stepping Stone Motorsports, who is going to be in the playoffs, and one more spot comes off the table.
And that's going to close it up. Other drivers are going to have to fight just as hard. Now knowing the line has moved up one, that puts drivers that were at least looking semi-comfortable. Obviously, we don't have updated points, but looking at it semi-comfortable coming into tonight, there were drivers like Mongold, 11 up. Denny, 23 up. Meredith, 45 up. And now that has officially shrunk up one spot, and that deficit of 45, whatever it was, is now fallen maybe by 10, 15 points. So this has gotten all a bit slower, as you can see a few Stepping Stone teammates and a few other drivers coming in to send their congratulations to the 71 here tonight, which is kind of fitting. The season started at Daytona. She got a front row starting spot. Didn't finish well at Daytona, but the second time of 3 appearances at Daytona, she found victory lane. So even though it may not have been the high banks, it's still a great spot. As Joe, I think we're going to get to the final results here. Oh, so is that right? Trout interview. Joe, you found DJ Trout in the sidelines there?
Apparently I did. I wasn't even looking for DJ Trout, but here we are together down on pit road. DJ Trout finishing third, and it appeared to me that this was a race you had to manage backwards in order to get into the top 3.
Yeah. It was a wild race, honestly. Just I waited a little bit too long to start to push 100% what I got, do what I needed to do. Just I waited too long.
Walk me through that a little bit. When you say you waited too long, where do you feel like you waited too long at? Was it on the pit stops? Was it in stage 3 where we saw a lot of business happening from third on back? Where do you feel like you could have pushed a little bit better?
Honestly, just at the stage 3 restart, the final stage restart, I was trying to make sure I made it on fuel, or to my to the pit lap that I was aiming for, so I could make it to the end. And I pushed it, or I didn't push it enough, and I ended up battling Dustin, which put me 5 seconds behind the lead battle. But you know, I think it was also just a mindset that I was in, that I wasn't able to perform the way that I needed to. So yeah, just overall, I think I needed to push 100% that whole race instead of picking my moment, which, like I said, I picked it way too late.
Definitely a little bit of heartbreak, but you still can't be unhappy with a podium finish here. Let me ask you this. We have one race left in the season. We come back here to Daytona, the World Center of Speed, next week. And that's going to be basically the make or break for everybody to try to get into the playoffs. Third place here, how does that affect you? Does it give you any momentum coming in next week?
Honestly, no. Restrictor plate racing or super speedway racing is not my best, and I think that's kind of why I had the added pressure, saying that I needed to win here, which it added just a little bit more pressure than I needed. So next week, with me being in a position where I'm not safe, nor am I really, or just not safe, I need to get my way in. I am not looking forward to it. I'm not a good super speedway racer, so we'll see how next week goes. I hope that I can battle my way into the playoffs, but it's going to be a tough road ahead. Going to the oval next week.
Shout out time, DJ. Who makes it work for you?
Just everyone on my team. Me and Bobby Blowers have worked incredibly hard to try to get this 93 and 34 or 94 to where it needed to be. And unfortunately we just came up short. But thank you to my team, everyone on PRC. And thank you guys for broadcasting.
DJ Trout finishing third at the road course here at Daytona. I believe Kevin Young's caught up with our second place finisher, Joshua Susi.
Yeah, Sosi obviously having a bit of heartbreak there, but he still had a great race. Josh, this is Kevin, the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, obviously a very interesting race, but we got to start at the beginning. Joe was talking about strategy working backwards. Got to hear your thoughts with that strategy because you rolled the dice in the first stage, coming in early, and then it got you reaped your rewards in stage 2. So take us through that early pit option, the pit before the stage concluded.
Um, it was just a matter of fuel numbers. When I got the penalty from last week, that probably shouldn't have been a penalty, but you got some sensitive people in this league, and they want to put a ticket in for every little thing that goes wrong on their end. And I had to start with the new oil regardless, so didn't even bother qualifying. And yeah, I mean, I was really surprised. It was Gaiman, myself, and I think Dean are the only one that pitted before stage end and won. Did the leapfrog game. Then I just pulled it again before stage 2. Again, I think it was only DJ and I that did it, so it was really opposite of what you normally see at the road courses.
A few other drivers did it, but they were a lot further back. You two were the majority of the ones inside the top 10. Moving further on, obviously, we saw in the final stage, you were having that battle Sharp for the pit stops happen. So kind of take us through that first part for the pit stops, including with your battle with Sharp. And what was the mindset there? You wanted to pull away. Obviously, you wanted to pull away, but was it hard to pull away with Sharp just occupying the mirrors that much? Or was it just a situation of not wanting to overcook the tires?
A little of both. I was better in the infield, and Lily was better in the hard braking into the bus stop and the chicane. Once I broke the draft near the almost the end of that stage or that fuel window, I mean, I was able to check out. I think I had 2 seconds or so, and that's what allowed me to maintain the lead when we did pit because I had to put a little more fuel than Lily did, where Lily pit at the stage and I pit 2 laps early. So uh, that put Lily right back on my butt, and we were gonna have a good battle. And you got a guy who I guess wants to be Austin Dillon. Doesn't even have a shot at the win. Messes up turn 1, runs the defensive line into 2 when you got the 2 people battling for the win. Uh, Completely messes us up, makes us go 3 wide, and then I'm alongside going into the kink and doesn't concede position. I just, scratch my head. I guess if you wanted a rivalry for the rest of the season, there it is. But, when Lily and I did it early in the race, when I took the lead, I'm okay with that because we're battling on the same strat for the win. But when you got a car that hasn't even pit yet, pulling some chicken shit move like that, I mean, there's no place for it. So you'll see Pacey and I racing each other hard the rest of the year and probably some more torn up cars. But hey, it's good for entertainment, right?
Considering the fact you both were in the Final Four last season, there's a good chance both of you will meet there, and we'll see how it all concludes over the next many weeks. Moving on, obviously next week is Daytona. Obviously, you already got multiple wins. You don't have to really worry per se. You're in the owners and the driver standings locked in. But with your 4 wins of the year, and you're pretty much going to cruise presumably to the driver standing regular season championship. Thoughts of Daytona? Are you going to go hard out to get a 5th win, or are you going to maybe try to help some of the teammates play different strategies? What's your mindset going to Daytona? Pretty much that you're pretty much locked in.
Yeah, I mean, a win is always cool, right? That should have been tonight, but or at least a chance at it. But no, it's going to be, at least for me personally, full sail next week, helping teammates try to secure either drivers positioning into the chase or owners positioning into the chase. So we got a few cars that are hovering around that bubble. I'm not sure how tonight shook out yet, but I think we got a couple in a must win and a couple that if they can get good points and a good finish will do the job. But it's Daytona, so who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, it is definitely a crapshoot when it comes down to the end of the days. But we're obviously at that portion of the show. Whoever you want to thank, Joe, family, friends, sponsors, whatever, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, as always, first and foremost, Nitro Setups. Big shout out to Smeal, David Smeal Jr., throwing this paint together for me. I was a little angry when my penalty didn't get accepted or my appeal didn't get accepted, so I figured we'd throw the angry kitty on the car. And, I went from 29th to second and kind of fit the attitude. Good job to everyone on the team tonight. I know we didn't have the greatest of results, a real mixed bag, but as always, great teamwork, great job of practice, communication. And we got one more shot at it next week, so that'll be pure focus, and then we can change mood and mindset to the playoffs. So stay tuned; it's going to get interesting.
It is going to get interesting. Well, great talk to you, Joshua. Obviously, I feel like we're talking for the end of the year, but if not, you take care. Have a good rest of your week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And that was our second place finisher, Josh Sosi. And we are going to move on to our victory lane celebration here. And I think Joe has walked down there and is now currently talking to our race winner.
For Lily Peltier Sharp, it's been 15 attempts to get into victory lane, 15 attempts to walk away with a trophy, and tonight it's job done. Lily, when we talked earlier, when we talked about you tonight, I said tonight was going to be the crescendo of your revenge tour. Is the revenge tour complete? Did the win basically validate your entire season?
One first thing to say is bleep. Finally, you know what? That's honestly justice for Suzuka. Suzuka, I know we had a car, and then I screwed up and got annoyed, and then drove angry and messed up a bit more. Here was just total redemption of. I say keeping it calm. I had moments where I was like, I had to go, and I definitely made some risky moves. But that final stint just finally it went right.
Walk us through that last, the first carousel turn where you were doing battle with both Josh Susie and Pacey Weigand. It was 3 wide going in. At what point did you say, I'm going to take the long way around and try to get them both?
As soon as I saw Pacey defend the inside, I knew that either Sosie's probably not going to come up and block because I think we're a bit too close. So I just gotta go. I just gotta take around the outside and pray I get the run off. I got a little scared about 3 wide. I think I opened up the steering just a little bit to try and make sure I didn't get turned. And then just got the drive off and cleared, and I just had to settle down. Just hit my marks after that.
So with this win tonight, you're officially locked into the playoffs. You're going to be the second stepping stone driver who will have a shot at running for the championship. How does this change the complexion of your season? And most importantly, what are we going to see from Lily Peltier Sharp over the next 8 races?
Well, firstly, I can relax at Daytona Super Speedway. I think my biggest worry was I don't win, I might get a good result, but that points battle is going to be so tight that Daytona, it could be everything at Daytona. So, thankfully, I don't have to worry about that anymore. But for the next 8 races, we got Darlington, Atlanta, Kentucky. Darlington's going to be a tough one. It's a track that I can be mediocre at, be maybe okay at. Atlanta's going to be very luck-based. Kentucky, Watkins Glen, and Chicago could be here or there. Bristol might be my only shot to get into the Final Four if I make it that far through the playoffs. But just got to take it one race at a time now.
Final question, and I know this is one that both Kevin and I are very curious about. How do you celebrate a win at 4 a.m.?
Beer. Beer.
never too early for a beer, I guess.
No. It's for summer holidays for me. I don't go to class till September, so I can do what I want.
Well, enjoy that cold beer on our behalf. Shout out time. Who makes it work for you, Lily?
Just the entirety of Stepping Stone Motorsports, always believing in me, keeping me calm when I will admittedly have moments reminiscent of the early 2010s Kurt Busch and BCs and things don't go right. All of them kept me calm today. They made sure I knew exactly what I needed to do and to not mess up. So just thanks to them.
Lily Peltier Sharp, your winner here at the Daytona Road Course. Kevin, let's go ahead and take him through tonight's finishing order.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that now as the results now appear on your screen. You'll see Lily Peltier Sharp getting the victory, started third, made a good run. Then Josh Sosi finishing second, up from 29th to second. Can't hate that. DJ Trout rounding out the podium. Trout going to need a good race next week if he wants to make the round of 16. Moving further down, we got Dustin Hall, Josh Gaiman rounding out the top 5. Then Martin Roberg, Ruby Nekamata hoping for more after a pole position. She'll have to settle for second. Jeremy Braille with this underperformance drive there, getting 8th. He was another driver on that cut line. He's making some strides to try to put himself in the top 16. Zier and Sasek round out the top 10. Elias Forrest 11th. Pacey Wygett settles back in the 12th. Moving further down, we got Lily Frazier 13th, Byron Jones 14th, Dean Clav after his second stage 2 second place will have to settle for 15th, Chad Swatsworth 16th, Matthew Boone 17th, DeMonte Dodson 18th, Zach Meredith 19th, Alfred Denny rounding out the top 20 with Blake Henderson 21st, Selena Thompson 22nd, Josh Arnold 23rd, Gary Donaldson 24th. Moving further down, we got Kevin Gibney 25th, Richard Odie 26th, Bobby Crivelli 27th. Now getting the cars that end up retiring with Austin Mongol 28th, David Smeal 29th, Carmen Sienna 30th, Bobby Blowers with the poor run, that's going to hurt him in the standings, 31st, Hunter Peach 32nd, Zach Apperson 33rd, and Bianca Constantinu not taking the flag with connection issues. She'll be P34.
So that'll do it for us here from the road course at Daytona International Speedway. One race left before we start the playoffs for the HTL Cup Series. We hope you'll join us next week when we go racing back here at the World Center of Speed for the Firecracker 400 to see who will be the 16 drivers challenging for the HTL Cup. On behalf of our entire broadcast team, my partner in crime, Kevin Young, Chrissy Ryan, making all the cameras work. My name is Joe Cortez. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, when we go racing back here at Daytona International Speedway. Good night, everybody.